Quick. One, two, three, we're on.
And welcome back to SP Channel, guys. Today we have my guest Tate Blaze. We're going to talk about anything and everything that comes to mind. And if you're out there and you'd like to join, we might just drop you a link so you can come in and chat with us. What's up,
One, two,
brother
three,
Tate?
we're on.
And welcome
I
back
know
to
this
SP
is
Channel, guys.
murder,
Today
man.
we
I
have my
slaughtered
guest
this
Tate
one out of
Blaze.
hell,
We're going
but
to talk about anything and
yeah,
everything
yeah.
that comes to mind.
So
And
what's up, bro?
if you're not a lot, Broham. We were going to talk about, I think we were discussing the possibility of time travel for, one of the topics anyway.
Hell to the yes. Very interesting subject.
So, what are your thoughts about time travel?
Man, there's so many. Honestly, I think it would take exotic matter, and protons and neutrons would probably be the keys.
My thoughts on it tend to concur back with Einstein's original thoughts. In relativistic physics, natural limitation for time travel, we know that time is relative, and therefore time dilation is in fact possible. But the speeds that would be necessary to travel any in time would require that we are able to break the light speed barrier, and because of this, um, you realize that when something breaks the light speed barrier, of course, physical matter tends to convert back into energy. So the natural limitation is that we, of course, can't reach light speed, and even if we could, we would transgress back into energy. My thoughts on it are, is scientifically, at least mathematically, time travel is certainly possible. Here's an interesting thought for you, brother Tate. We're traveling through time right now. When people think of time travel and they think of the impossibility of time travel, they never consider that time doesn't sit still. I mean, time in a very linear fashion is going forward for us right now. I mean, in one small sense, we're traveling forward in time as we speak.
Oh yeah. At current point, there is no such thing as tomorrow. It's always today.
Right. We always consider it the present, but we are, of course, ever propelled forward in time, which, because if we weren't traveling in time in some sense, we would always be the same age. We would not progress. So, whether we like it or not, it's almost like time is a fire in which we burn. We don't have a choice. And this is what I base that on. I feel that people consider time travel as an impossibility, but really it's just an impossibility currently, technologically for us.
Um, I feel that at current point, we may have already developed the text.
You cut out a little bit there, brother. Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that assume, there's even some pictures and some stories on the internet that assume that time travel is possible. And I'm in the camp. I convinced that time travel, with time being relative, is absolutely possible, but we don't have any
Yeah.
proof yet.
Oh, I didn't cut out, man. I was muting the mic because I have company over. Um, okay. Here's what's going on. You led to time being an unstoppable entropic force, just like entropy.
Well, I didn't say time was unstoppable. That's kind of throwing words into my mouth. But time does progress forward in a linear fashion, hence the initial conditions from the way the Big Bang proceeded. But I fully believe time is stoppable because it's relative.
So you believe that you could literally stop time?
If I'm not mistaken, have we not stopped a photon directly in its tracks? Does not a photon extend, forward and backwards in time?
Well,
Infinitely, really.
I've never given that real deep thought because I just thought of the particle itself as physical matter.
Well, I mean, if it reaches forward infinitely and backward infinitely in time, and we can stop a photon, and I mean, I don't want to go definition for definition here, but wouldn't that be, at least locally, for that photon, like stopping time?
On a small scale, yeah.
You know, I feel that the control that we have to manipulate time is limited by our technology, by our technology and our understanding. I fully feel mathematically that time travel is completely possible.
Um, the only things that really can throw into the debate is I don't think the technology that a person would need is available through conventional matters, um, like an energy source, an exotic material which would give you more than 45% efficiency.
And welcome, Lindy. A welcome, black-eyed kid. Carishan, is that Carishan Murky went on about how there's no time without consciousness. In my eyes, that would be similar to like if no one's there to hear the sound, does it make a sound? Um, I truly believe if there's no consciousness to perceive the passage of time, then time itself would not exist. In that sense, it would be like the concepts of time that we have. We have a concept of entropy, how the half life of the atomic physical particle breaks down, and as the we of course call that the entropy. That's how something ages, and as it converts and decays back into energy. But yes, if they're to perceive the passage of time, then they're time because in my thoughts, wouldn't time just be a measurement that is relative only to us humans that perceive it? Okay.
I do believe time is one of the social constructs that we put as a measurement on how old we are or how much lifespan we have.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I don't think a tortoise sits around and wonders if it's 3 o'clock.
Right. Um, but to some extension, we don't fully understand how a tortoise sees the universe around him. Like for instance, let's say you have a tortoise and a male tortoise. Like when mating season comes, they're fully aware that it's time to mate. So whether they call it time or whether they just have that urge, they do have some sort of concept.
It's instinct due to the environmental factors they're in because once it gets so warm, they get to pumping.
Hmm. I mean, you could be right. How could I really quote on if if a tortoise has the concept of the passage of time, but assumption that everything that lives some sort of concept of the passage of time.
Every animal has a natural mating, eating, sleeping, and quite a few other, cycles that they go through.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they actually know of time as we know of it. I think they know that, hey, it's dark, we need to bed down, or hey, it's warm, we need to start doing this or that and moving around.
Right, but consider this and some of the other chats we've had. We've spoke a lot about cryptids in the past, and how they perceive the reality around themselves. And some of the theories that were thrown around were something akin to this beast could travel from one dimension to another. They don't seem intelligent enough to possess any great amount of technology. Comes to that, would a tortoise absolutely need to consider things like entropy and the passage of minutes and the passage of seconds to have a concept of the passage of time itself?
Honestly, I think a turtle would be more like, you remember the guy that got the Nobel Prize we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, the was that the Gutenberg guy?
Yeah, the one with the river of time.
Yeah,
I think a tortoise or animal would understand the concept more like that. Like it goes in cycles.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I strongly feel, and hi, Lindy, hi, Black Eyed Kid again. Um, when we're speaking about rituals or instinct, I strongly feel that when it comes to animals, that people just assume that animals lack certain understandings about certain things around them, but they're very natural creatures. My thoughts and feelings are is that people don't give animals enough credit. People assume that animals don't understand certain things, but how do we know? I mean, how do we know what really an animal truly understands? I mean, I've got a couple of pet dogs, right? And to me, they seem so intelligent. When they want something, they come to me. They seek attention, the way that they play with me, the way that they interact. I feel like people often undercredit animals.
You know, can't remember where I got the info from, but I'm the type of guy that useless statistics get stuck in his head, right?
Well, hey, that's perfect, man.
But well, I think I watched a documentary or it was a YouTube video. They said that a dog could have the smartest breeds of dogs, like the golden retrievers and stuff, can have up to a human intelligence of a 5-year-old.
Let me give you a cross reference for that, brother Tate. It seems like several years ago that someplace in Japan was studying just how intelligent chimpanzees could be. And some of these chimpanzees, on the tests that they were given, scored as high as some college students. And this, but I'm sure that I can look it up and find the statistics. But it was very simplistic, common sense questions.
Hmm. Well, I mean, they do teach gorillas sign language, so they have to have some type of concept of language skills and interaction with things
I'll give
around them.
you I'll give you a good example of how intelligent that I believe certain animals can be. Of course, everybody here probably remembers Robin Williams, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, when Robin Williams did the movie Jumanji, there was this gorilla in the movie. The actor Robin Williams himself actually became close with this gorilla. The gorilla really loved him. When she was told that Robin Williams passed away, because she was one of those gorillas that could do sign language, she gave the sign language for sad, and a tear did stream down her face. Um,
Hmm.
I feel like some animals are intelligent enough to get concepts of higher intellect.
Oops. I think it was Bill Burr kind of done a comedy skit about a gorilla, and they gave this gorilla a little kitten, right? Because it was a female gorilla, and they figured, either she's going to rip the kitten apart or maternal instincts, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So her maternal instincts actually kicked in, and she loved this little kitten. A guy let the kitten get out of the zoo that this gorilla was in, and the kitten got ran over. The next day they go back because they're going to give this kitten to the gorilla as a reward for learning something new in sign language. That's how they kind of motivated her.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
would take the kitten away and give it back when she learned something new. Now, when they went back and didn't have the kitten, the lady just outright told the gorilla that the kitten was gone, that it was dead. And man, in this documentary, you can like hear the gorilla crying. It's not like a normal human cry. It's like in the background in her little house area they have set up for her of a night.
Yeah.
So, as far as intelligence within animals goes, oh dude, yeah, Lindy says it's Coco.
Yeah, I believe she's right. I couldn't remember the name, but I believe the name was Coco.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, here's where I'm coming from with this. I feel that very often, for whatever reason, it could be in some instances pride, because I can't think of anyone who wants to admit that, man is not the superior life form, man or woman, is not the superior life form on planet Earth. But I feel like we very often undercredit animals. If you consider things like whales, time it's been considered how intelligent could a whale be. They may not process thought as humans do. They may not have thoughts similar to humans. Whale's IQ. I mean, realizing that our brains put out a brain wave at 733 megahertz and consume 15 watts of power, you have to consider that whales have a brain wave that comes from their brain that's something like, what is it, 1.8 gigahertz, and they consume something like 120 watts, something like that.
Good Lord, you could power a lamp.
We have to realize they're much larger for one thing, and that could account for a lot of that. Oh yes, animals do love. Animals do love. I have two very small dogs. Not only do they love, they get jealous of one another.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
For some reason, instincts, well, I can't even call them instincts. Honestly, emotions in animals are prevalent.
I know if I pick up my smaller dog and I'm petting my smaller dog, it does not pay for my wife to approach me. She will eat her up. When it's daddy and Gitchy time, nobody better come within 6 feet. She will eat him up. I mean, my puppies love me.
Yeah. But as far as time and animals perceiving it, I believe they perceive it different than us because time and entropy, as we know it, a linear time at least,
Right.
is a human construct.
Um, I mean, it that's debatable. I mean, in the way that we process information for filing records, or when we look at a calendar, or when we look at a clock, yes, that's a linear construct that we invented just to keep track of our daily lives. But the fuller, broader spectrum of time, entropy, and how the universe works, and how the half life of the atom counts down as it decays back into energy, I mean, it's almost like those two concepts are unrelated.
But the thing is they are related. I mean, just because we don't know the mathematics of the flight of a bird, right? The normal person doesn't. They don't know about the trajectory and trigonometry included and all of it. Well, trigonometry, yeah. But we do have a human construct that we call flight, you know. So we know that this bird uses flight to get from point A to point B.
Right.
Okay. So we are assigning a value to something that is known but unknown at the same time. That's what I call a construct in most cases. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, I can't debate with you that, an animal's understanding of the world around it and a human's understanding are completely different. Um, but with the differences in between how animals understand the world around them and humans understand the world around them, I feel that we often undercredit. Like for instance, let me give you an example. 300 years ago, could it be said that birds knew a great deal more about flight than humans did?
Oh yeah, that I'm thinking 300 was before the Wright brothers, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. 300 was before the Wright brothers. I'm just throwing it out there for you, bro, that like it depends on your perception of intelligence. For instance, the bird would naturally know it's like, hey, I'm coming in too fast. I need to move my tail up and get some wind resistance. And that may not even be the terminology the bird uses, but birds knew this way before humans did.
Oh yeah, but I don't think they use the same words we would use if we were to be able to talk to them, you know.
Oh, absolutely not. But I'll give you an example of how intelligent animals can be. There are several stories of dolphins that have saved swimmers from shark attacks. There are stories of dolphins that have saved swimmers from drowning. Um, there are stories of humans that have even been, and I believe everyone here, I believe even everyone listening has heard this before. There are even stories of humans that have been either abandoned or ran away, and animals took them on and raised them, took care of them, defended them from nature.
Hmm. There was a goat, a monkey, and a wolf that done this.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
There was a story, and this one's kind of heartbreaking, and I really don't want to bring it up, but it's not too terrible. Um, the story was there was this little girl in Australia, and to just cut to the chase, she had really terrible parents that didn't really want to watch over her. So very often, the girl, she would have nobody to play with, nobody to talk to. Her parents wouldn't even feed her. They were just horrible individuals. She got to where she would play with the dogs that were in the backyard. Eventually, a time came when she would rather spend time with the dogs than her own parents. So her parents would just let her stay out there with the dogs, and she lived with those dogs for, I don't remember how many years it was, but she's a grown woman now. Psychology has been able to fully bring her back. She didn't develop proper speech. She didn't, develop action. Um, when she wants to go from place to place, she still wants to, crawl around on all fours. She wants to growl. She wants to snarl. During her development stages, just didn't have the interaction with humans that she needed, and that's something that I would like to talk about, Brother Tate. At what point does it vary from person to person? But at what point is it too late for human interaction, to save someone?
honestly, it could be any point in a human's lifetime. Humans are social creatures. If we can't get social contact with other humans, we will find
Well,
social contact with animals.
absolutely, absolutely, I believe that.
That's why instead of crawling on all fours like the girl in the story, where me and you are pretty much recluses, right?
I'm an absolute hermit, brother.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit it.
But because you bonded with your dogs. One bark means human, another type of bark means animal, another type of bark means that there's something going on.
It's really hard to explain. You know, um, I can always tell what they want by the types of barks that they have, but it's more than just a couple. It's almost like the urgency in which they do bark. Hard to explain, but there's at least 50 different barks that they have.
So, you've got all this that you bonded with your animal and can tell from it at a later stage in life.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
I,
mean, oh, go ahead.
I don't think humans ever stop.
Well, I'd like to throw your way a case of a boy that was raised. I think this was over somewhere. It was near the jungles. Um, I want to say it was in South Africa somewhere, but he was a little boy, and I believe he had some sort of deformity with his lower legs, and his parents abandoned him. The monkeys actually came down from the trees, and they took him with them, and they raised him. This boy, till this day, of course, he eventually was found and reintegrated into society. Till this day, this boy cannot speak.
Hmm.
We don't really know if, hey, deranged wolf, welcome. I have a lot of opinions on CERN, and so does Brother Tate. We'll get into that in just a second. As I understand, this boy, he still cannot speak. And I mean, one could wonder, would that have been his fate anyway? Would he have never been able to speak, or was it a development issue? What are your thoughts on it?
Um, would he be able to speak, or will he be able to speak? I don't know. I think the developmental stages of humans are very important.
Right. Brother Tate, would you like to get into the CERN subject? It seems like Deranged Wolf is interested in my game right there.
Uh, yeah, I mean, they did kind of build themselves on top of the team.
Okay. All right, here's my thoughts on CERN. I'll try to get it out there really quick because I'm sure Tate's got a lot to say about that. Um, I'll just cut right to the chase. The LHC is the largest, the largest particle accelerator in the world. It has one of the largest neodymium magnets in the world called Atlas. they use a project which is a plasma fusion injector called Project Awake. Basically, to talk about the LHC, we're talking about something. Is it 22 miles in diameter?
17 miles.
Was it 17 miles?
Yep, 17 miles long.
I'm counting the extra circumference of the smaller ring. I believe is where I always come up with 22. But either way, um, we want to really get into the science. You probably won't hear this anywhere else, but I challenge anyone to search it up on Wikipedia, and you will find it true. This is technically my area here. You know, CERN, the Mandela effect, things like that. In a, Now, here's what causes the gate to open, and this is what I really want to talk about and what's really neat. Okay, you have to consider multiverse theory. In multiverse theory, if our universe, our entire being, is a bubble, there are other bubbles. Our bubble. So let's consider our bubble a universe, and the next universe over, or we could even be surrounded by an infinite number of other bubbles. When you accelerate mass to near the speeds of light, as you accelerate mass, mass tends to, with this great inertia, increase density. And with the increased density, there comes an increased gravity. Now, consider, if you will, the 17-mile radius ring has these particles swirling around at near the speed of light with all of this increased, density and gravity, right? So at the very center, it's pulling at the very center of this ring as this mass flows around it with intense gravity, which is something like 100,000 times that of the Earth's natural gravity. Now, consider this. What separates our bubble from another bubble? Right? Are you there, Brother Tate?
Dark energy.
Exactly. Dark energy, possibly antimatter. Now, my thoughts on it are this. Ghosts, the parallel universes, the Mandela effect itself, those are side effects, possibly unwanted side effects. Because my belief is what CERN is actually doing is they are mining from outside of our bubble. They're using gravity to open up a small puncture outside of our bubble to get a bunch of free antimatter. Okay, there's nothing outside of our bubble, okay, except for other bubbles. And what's in between the bubbles? Antimatter and dark matter. Lots and lots of it. So CERN has discovered that with enough gravity, they can open up their bubble, or the bubble to our universe. And don't worry. It's not like a bubble that will pop. Our universe is a natural force. As soon as the LHC is turned off, it just, closes up. They're not going to pop our bubble. What they were doing was they were basically trying to get a whole lot of free energy from the universe itself. They dig outside of our bubble. They try to get a bunch of antimatter. What has happened is, as they dug for this antimatter that was outside of our bubble, they ran into other bubbles. And this is where all the spooky stuff has happened. Lots of people believe, if you guys have heard of the Mandela effect, which I speak of on occasion, I've got a few videos about that. The Mandela effect, in my eyes, I will explain what it is, and then I will explain what I think it really is. The actual definition of the Mandela effect itself, you know what? I have talked for so long, and I haven't given, I got on my favorite subject. It's Tate's turn. Brother Tate, take us away.
On Mandela or on CERN opening? Wow.
Well, he didn't ask about Mandela specifically. I may be going in a place where they, haven't asked about. Let's talk about CERN.
Okay. CERN. What do we know scientifically that they have released that they are creating when they turn on the LHC? Black holes. They call them strangelets. They call them pinholes. They call them anomalies. I'll get it out here in a minute. But
hey brother, I got to slip and get something to drink. Keep everybody entertained. I'll just be a second.
All right.
But
they're opening up these black holes. Now, SP was the one to find Kerr black hole. If you want to look it up, it's Kerr, Kerr. Now, the Kerr black hole is not like your regular black hole. It's more like what they would open and could open up at CERN with gravitational forces. Now, theoretically, black holes have an opposite side that comes out in an opposite place called a white hole. So we know if there's black holes and theoretically there's white holes, which is the opening to another place, then that effectively creates a portal, right? Are you with me, guys? Okay, so if they're creating portals, where are they creating portals to? The only other known dimensions that have been spoke of have always been through religious text: heaven, hell, purgatory, the 100 hells of the Chinese, the spiritual planes of the Hindus. Now, could they be reaching in and opening the gates of hell? Maybe.
Well, by the way, guys, and I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and finish whatever you had to say, but yeah, that's exactly where I want to pick up.
Now, if they are opening up the certain places to certain portals, and if biblical texts do hold true, I hope to dear God they do not find the endless pit, the bottomless pit, because that'll be a bad day for everybody on Earth. I'm done, bro. Give it ahead.
All right, so here's what's up. Before we had particle physics, before we had multiverse theory, I want you guys to consider something. I've even made a video about this. Some people would rather not talk about the Bible. I was raised a Christian. I don't care to talk the Bible. I'm a full believer. I believe in Jesus Christ. Before we had particle physics, before we had, multiverse theory, we had the Bible telling us that heaven and hell were two realms that were close to us. And if we were going to open up right next door to where we are, why would it not be heaven and hell? I mean, that's a question I would like to ask anyone. Why would the realms that we're opening up with CERN not be heaven or hell? I mean, those are the realms that, as far back as literature goes, that they told us were right next to us.
Yep. What was it the Bible said? I think was it like heaven is an inch off the ground? Or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I may be misquoting. Forgive me if I am.
When it comes to quoting scripture, that would be where I'm a little off. I don't recall any scripture saying the exact location of heaven being an inch off the ground. It was always kind of my impression that heaven was. I mean, of course, it's given in facsimile that when Jesus ascended into the sky, he ascended into heaven, and the theory is practical thinking that hell is down, heaven is up. You have to realize there's some definition play in heaven itself. When you speak of the heavens, use the terminology and term that as all of outer space, anything that's not here. And you see the stars, you see the heavens in one sense of the word. So could heaven physically be a physical place that exists somewhere out there in the vastness of space? Possibly. Could heaven be an entirely different realm that exists on a different plane that we can never see, no matter how deep we look? That is also possible.
Well, we both had, and we both concur on this topic pretty much to this effect, that the soul is energy.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Now, what is the only thing that can pierce what's called P-brains, which is supposed to separate one dimension from another dimension?
Go ahead.
Energy, bro.
Hmm, I don't know. From a scientific standpoint, I feel what separates one dimension from another dimension down to string theory and something about the vibrational frequency of where we're at. Consider this: people often get dimensional theory and multiverse theory mixed up, and they consider it the same thing, but universe can contain multiple dimensions, and that still be part of us, part of our universe, right? So if someone was living in another dimension, us, they would still be living within our universe, right? But if someone were living in, say, another universe, that other universe would contain its own set of different dimensions. Consider brain theory. And you're aware of what brain theory is, right? You have the large object and then you have the smaller objects that make the whole, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our universe and its dimensions and its subdimensions. But if something were from a completely other universe, it wouldn't be from another dimension, right? It would be from a completely different bubble, from outside of our bubble completely. So I feel like interdimensional travel would be a great deal easier than, multiversal travel, than to travel to another universe. That's just my thoughts on the issue.
Yeah. Uh, the four-dimensional brain. Yes, I do believe that travel from one dimension would be easier than to a whole nother universe because each universe stores different dimensions in it. Kind of like a. Hmm, have you ever had one of them filing cabinets that like fold and fold and
Hmm.
fold?
Hmm. I've had those, man, but like as soon as I got into computers and stuff, filing cabinets just went away. No more filing cabinets, no more folders.
Yeah, but think of partitions on the same hard drive. That'd be a little more like it.
Yeah, yeah, I think a partition on the same hard drive would be a lot like a separate dimension
Yeah, because
within one universe.
you have completely different storage places for the same
Right.
type of data with
While
it.
on the flip side, if you had multiple hard drives, that would be more like a multiverse.
Yeah, if you was
Yeah,
sitting with a big bunch of RAID hard drives, that would be more like a multiverse.
yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So, wouldn't it be easier to transfer data from, say, partition A to partition B than to transfer data from, say, hard drive A to hard drive B?
Absolutely, because you have to copy the information from one hard drive to another hard drive while just copying from partition A to partition B. All it's doing is moving the file within the same unit. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, if you were to think about it, I mean, even science tells us that the shortest distance between two objects is a straight line, right?
Right, but science also tells us that if we could take gravity and pull it that straight line, we could shorten the line itself.
Yeah. So, imagine if you're just going straight from one dimension to another dimension and not to a completely separate universe.
Right.
Wouldn't that be
I
a
feel
shorter line?
I feel that the method in which a person would travel from one dimension to another dimension would be quite different than the method in which a person would travel from one universe to another universe.
Yeah.
Let me give an example. Theory. The idea is that multiple dimensions exist within our reality. That a parallel dimensional version of yourself may exist quantumly entangled within yourself. You and an infinite number of other yous may exist in the same space, and the only thing that separates you from yourself and these other dimensions is your vibrational frequency, right? So The thing is you cannot interact with these parallel versions of yourself because you're not at the same density and vibrational frequency. Now, if you wanted to travel from our universe to a completely different universe, you would need something like CERN, something like the Large Hadron Collider, something that can pull at gravity so fiercely that it punctures a hole through our bubble into another bubble. And I believe this is what CERN has done. They have intensified gravity to such super, what's a great word for this, Tate? Such super,
I would say density because they're just basically taking the gravity, which is
I
like a
mean,
fluidic liquid.
of course, density affects gravity, and let's just say they've intensified gravity to such a super state
Hmm.
that, consider, if you will, Tate's half glass theory. In fact, Tate, if you don't care, explain your half glass theory.
Oh yeah. All right. Curved black hole. This is a perfect little example you can do by imagination, or you can go grab a glass, fill it with water, right? Now you're going to have that fluid between the top of the rim and the bottom of the glass. You're not going to be able to physically touch or see the bottom of the glass, right?
Right.
Take a straw or a pencil and just run it around in a circle real quick within that fluid. You'll find that a whirlpool opens up. And when that whirlpool opens up, you can see and touch the bottom of the glass. Now,
Now,
a curved black
oh, go
hole?
ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Oh, a curved black hole has the same effect.
Right, right. What I'm getting at is, consider this. Consider the Large Hadron Collider is the realm of the glass. Spinning around inside the particle accelerator itself, as it nears the speed of light, it increases density, and the gravitational effects are 100,000 times greater than that of the Earth's. Now, consider this whirlpool effect of gravity digging down, just like as you stirred in the glass, bottom of the glass, a whirlpool from our bubble, and we're digging down or outward, or there's no up or down in outer space. There's no up or down on a perfect sphere. So we're just digging from our bubble into another bubble, and when the gravity intensifies enough, right, we open up away from our bubble to another bubble. Um, you may not be able to send things through like physical mass or objects, but then again, that might be entirely possible. But one thing is for certain: you could send information back and forth through the bubble, from our bubble to another bubble. And this is where the Mandela effect comes in. If anyone is interested, in even the subject of the Mandela effect, we could discuss that too if you're interested. But the main thing to take away from the Large Hadron Collider is, in the 17-mile radius, as the mass nears the speed of light, the gravity intensifies greatly. It is stirring gravity, much in the same way that you stir the water or the liquid in that glass. And it digs to such a deep level, so intensely, that it opens up a portion of our bubble to another bubble. Um, the possibility that that bubble is heaven or hell is greatly increased if you consider that our first mentions of any kind of realms that were attached to the earth were heaven and hell.
Hmm. There's a very good chance.
So we could touch on the Mandela effect, but I haven't seen anyone mention it. So we could touch on another topic if you wanted to. Some people may not be interested in the Mandela effect and what it is.
Well, we could also touch on the ITEs.
Of course, you're the leading expert in the ITEs. Lead us in, brother.
Alrighty, I don't know if I'm quite an expert, but here we go. IT's interdimensional terrestrial entities is what they call them because they found them on Earth within the atmosphere. Now, the way that they found these is they used a convex lens through a telescope by a guy named Santilli. The app, the app's not going to replace the lens on your phone to make it convex, so I think that's a bunch of bull. But the actual telescope itself is, well, it's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting idea. Now, these ITEs, if there's things that we cannot perceive within our dimensional space, that's interesting unto itself. Where did they come from? What are they? Why are they here? Now, you take that and combine it with, let's say, CERN opening these portals. And I'll even give you another example. Beam Pipe 8. Now, there's some type of unidentified lying object within the beam pipe of the LHC. You know. So, how does a unidentified object just suddenly poof into a hermetically vacuum sealed tube for no reason?
I mean, that's not to even mention that if it were something that were on this physical plane, if it were a physical object, it would be utterly destroyed. So it would have to be some sort of intangible energy, possibly if you want to go along the lines of spiritual, but inside the confines of the collider itself, nothing physical would survive.
Which leads credence to the double slit experiment.
The very foundation of quantum physics.
Then the double slit experiment, I don't believe it's that the object changes so much as we change the object itself when we actually increase the amount of photons, protons, electrons, and nuclei that is within the current vicinity.
Right. Well, I guess if you could find a picture, is your OBS, will it allow you to inject a new picture into that?
Yeah.
Can you find a picture of the double slit experiment? I'll describe just a little bit about the principles of quantum physics and try to understand truly what CERN is doing. Okay, so while Tate's doing this, to dispel some rumors that are floating basically around the internet at large about quantum computers, quantum physics, quantum science in general. A lot of people want to assume that quantum computers are doing something magical that's just impossible, that they're processing data from parallel dimensions or something to that effect. Quantum principle is simply this. In string theory, which is basically the essence of relativity, our standard model of physics, relativity, is based on string theory. Now, quantum principle is up for debate if you want to accept it or not. We know that mathematically on paper, quantum principle holds up, but the double slit experiment that I'm having Tate to seek out is really some of the only proof we have that quantum theory treads any water. Quantum theory is this. We discovered when we did this double slit experiment that the universe seems to function as if it were on a wave, as if it were vibrating, because of the patterns as they shine light through this double slit, how the patterns would land in unpredictable ways. And the only thing that would explain why these patterns landed in such unpredictable ways would be if the universe itself functioned in a way. Vibes, yes, absolutely. Vibes, Lindy. That's perfect. Basically, to get right down to the simplicity of the issue, If you follow quantum principle and you believe in quantum principle, it states that because the universe functions in a wave, that we are all harmoniously, like all of us, all of planet Earth, all of our universe, all of physical matter, we are functioning on what they call the D wave. The D wave is basically a name that mathematics has given this quantum function. Basically, because we're all vibrating on this same frequency, that none of our atoms, none of our atomic mass is ever completely at rest. Because we're never completely at rest and we are vibrating, then we are never in one single location. By the principles of quantum physics, we are in, you know, one, well, not just one, we are in two or more parallel locations simultaneously, possibly infinite locations simultaneously.
Hmm.
Are you there, Brother Tate?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't believe that humans vibrate at a certain frequency, look up sonic weapons.
Well, I mean, of course, I think everyone knows that to a certain extent, physical matter and we do in fact vibrate. But to explain quantum principle fully, you really have to jump off the deep end and accept some theories in relativity that aren't quite yet proven.
Yeah, well, I'll put it this way. When I'm talking about sonic weapons, I don't mean the type of sounds that hurt your ears. I'm talking about infrasound, which is below human hearing.
He's talking about the ultra low sound, the kind of sound that hurts your skin, the kind of sound that hurts your bones, the kind of sound that hurts the fluids in your body. He's talking about weaponized sound.
Yeah, the type that turn human organs into liquid. But yeah, if these sounds that we cannot hear can affect our vibrational frequencies so much that it literally turns us to liquids instead of solids, there you go. That's a perfect example of vibes, man, and
Of
quantum
course,
theory.
well, you have to consider that to speak of quantum theory, I was leading into quantum entanglement. And here's what's great. Even though that according to quantum theory, we exist in multiple states at once, consider that through the dimensional barriers, there are possibly an infinite number of parallel versions of ourselves, right? Now, because each, yes, liquefied organs do sound bad. We actually used those sonic weapons that Tate was speaking of. I think we used those as far back as, was it Desert Storm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Consider this. Quantum entanglement is simply this. Every once in a while, an atom is born that is entangled with another atom. And no matter how far you separate these two atoms, you could separate them the distance of the known universe from one end to another. If you spin one of these atoms, the other, no matter how far away, will spin in accordance with the other atom. We, we understand certain principles of quantum entanglement, but the theory is this. Let's say that there are an infinite parallel number of versions of ourselves, right? We may be quantumly entangled with those parallel versions. And while consciously you can't wake up in the morning and live a day in the life of the alternate Lindy or the alternate black eyed kid or the alternate deranged wolf, that by quantum principle, those beings exist. Every once in a while, for reasons that we don't fully understand, information from one quantum entanglement variation could bleed over into you. I'll give you an example. Have you ever had a memory that just didn't quite line up with the everyday reality? Tate has a really great example of some memories that may have changed. Um, Consider that for reasons of quantum entanglement, something that a parallel version of yourself did could affect your very own memories. You may remember something that never happened in this reality. You may remember something that happened differently in this reality, but you have this very clear, vivid memory that no, I clearly remember that this event transpired this way. What gives? This may not be faulty memory. This may be something science calls the Mandela effect. I'll guarantee you, in the laws of causality, let me tell you something, Sister Lindy. Consider this. With quantum physics and causality, there's this old saying that nothing is impossible. In causality, there is a statement that says, given enough time and enough space with the infinity of the universe, think about this. The universe may in fact be infinite. I realize that I speak of the universe as a bubble, right? But as I speak of the universe as a bubble, you have to realize that the reason that we consider the universe infinite is because the rate of expansion of the universe is near the speed of light. We know for a fact that the gamma wall, the edge of our universe, is only 94 billion light years from Earth. So we know the universe does have an end. But the reason we assume the universe to be infinite is because no matter how far, no matter how far we travel, no matter how fast we travel, we can never reach the end of the universe because it's traveling at near the speed of light, and we can't travel that fast. So for us, as far as we're concerned, the universe is infinite. But in causality, there is a statement, and this is true within, the fields of science. Given enough time and given enough space, that all possibilities must transpire. There is a universe where you're filthy, where you're filthy, stinking rich, Lindy. There is a universe where you're the most popular person on the planet. There is a universe where you were Mother Teresa. There is a universe. There is a universe where you are one of God's angels. Every possibility must transpire given enough space and enough time. So this is how causality assumes. As you live your life, think of the old Back to the Future, thing where, Doc Brown was showing how timelines work, right? If you remember how he drew those timelines on that little blackboard, and everything, if you've seen Back to the Future, I'm sure you have. Consider this. Instead of one timeline throughout the multiverse, throughout causality, throughout, dimensional space, of Lindy's as living an infinite number of lifetimes, and they're all transpiring at the exact same time. So information from one timeline could glitch over. Could it be CERN's interactions with the multiverse itself that's causing this information to glitch? That's entirely possible. But the fact of the matter is what we perceive as one reality is much more complicated than that when you consider multiverse theory and causality. It gets really interesting, and I cannot wait to have this conversation with Brother D.
Oh, sorry, man. I turned on my AC. That's why I got myself on mute.
Oh, that's cool, brother. That's cool. I mean, I still wish you were here talking, though. Actually, here's the thing, Deranged Wolf, about traveling through those universes. Could you interact with the other you? The thing is it doesn't work exactly like people would think. People consider that if our universe, crashed or collided into another universe, that it would destroy both universes. But that's not really how it actually works. How it actually works is, have you ever blew bubbles when you were a kid, or even recently, when you're out on a picnic just playing with your kids? If you've ever blew bubbles, sometimes two bubbles come together and make a bigger bubble, right? So if two universes collided, we may not even know. We would never know they collided, and this could explain some of the memories. But as far as if you could travel, you interact with your other self, absolutely. It's something called a paradox, but paradoxes are absolutely workable within causality. Yes, you could meet yourself, you could talk to yourself. I'll warn you though, if you ever met yourself, you're thinking that the conversation would go great. Meet a person exactly like yourself and see how long it takes you guys to fight. I'd give it 30 seconds. When you meet a person exactly like yourself, you will definitely have conflict.
That's why brothers and sisters never get along.
Yep. Um,
Hmm?
but The theory that I'm getting at, Deranged Wolf, is not only could you interact with yourself, already be interacting with an infinite number of parallel versions of yourself completely unaware. I appreciate it, guys. I mean, Tate knows I love science. It's science is my baby. Um, but Tate loves science too. Um, if you guys have any
Oh yeah.
questions, I mean, definitely feel free to ask because we had no idea what we were going to talk about when we started this thing.
Yeah, it's pretty much a Q and A at this point. We came in like one or two ideas and then poof, ran through them.
Yeah, I mean, we had no idea what we were going to do.
But with the actual OBS that I'm using, we're about a minute or two behind chat, I think. So, or
Yeah,
chat's about a minute or two behind us. So,
I mean, I set it for zero delay, but even the way YouTube does things, zero delay means 2 to 3 minutes.
I like Lindy. I would form a band with myself and get her to do all the singing.
Oh, dude, if there was, yeah, if I could totally go and get a parallel version of myself. My problem is, consider this, guys. Consider consider things like emotions that you guys don't normally think about. What happens when you run into a version of yourself that fulfilled all of your dreams that you never could fulfill? Would you be jealous of that person? Would you try to kill that person and take their place? I mean, there's reasons the realities are separated. Consider there's a version of yourself out there that got with that perfect person, that had children with that perfect person, that lived that perfect life you always dreamed of. It's not good to go poking around with your parallel selves. It can only lead to heartache, really.
Uh, that's just like Black Eyed Kid. He asked a good question here. Do you think the other yous in different universes would be the same age, or would the ages vary?
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Because of the way causality continues and the way that causality functions, consider this. I would think parallel versions of yourself would all be the same age. They would just be different choices that you made. However, that's not to even consider alternate timeline versions, which could be different ages. You have to realize with causality, absolutely anything is possible. So, but a lot of people, and that's really my life goal with science. A lot of people think and they fascinate with things like multiverse theory and parallel theory and dimensional theory, and they don't realize that these theories are all completely different, right? They want to run them all into one big fantasy simulator and make this perfect thing. Causality is the thing that says there's an infinite number of you. Multiverse theory is the thing that says there are other universes and parallel versions of yourself. Multidimensional theory is the thing that says that yourself that got that girl or got that boy that you always dreamed of that you didn't get. So, what happens when you are able to see these parallel dimensions and these other versions of yourself? Sure, you're going to run into the one guy that's got a worse life than you. About this, what happens when you run into the one that has the dream life that you always wanted?
I would shoot him and take his place.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Um, I would be afraid to meet a parallel version of myself. Um, I could go into deeper detail than that, but I would be absolutely terrified to meet a parallel version of myself. Consider this. I can talk to you guys online as much as you want to talk. I can dazzle you with science. I can show you the multiverse. I have social phobias because consider this. He was a genius. people. It's not that I can't stand people, but I feel that things like being judged by others, being evaluated by others, being assessed by others, why does that matter? Why does that matter to me? Why would I want to be, assessed and judged by others when the only things that matter to me are science and understanding the universe? So I would honestly hate to be assessed by a parallel version of myself. It would probably anger me to the point to where I would fight with the guy. Um,
SP versus SP this
and
Sunday.
I promise you, SP would win. This SP, this one.
So, what's up, Brohim? What's going on?
Well, I'm working on this vaporizer here, and I don't know what kind of what do they call this stuff? Juice that you put in vaporizers? It tastes like sour apples, and I don't like it. And I'm thinking I'm just going to get a cigarette, brother.
Bro, I would stay away from anything that makes my lungs have a flavor.
Dude, it makes my throat burn. I don't understand why people would do this.
Wait, your vape is making your throat burn?
Absolutely. I don't know what it is. It gives me a sore throat and everything. You know, I bought this vape. It cost a couple of $100. I feel obligated to smoke this juice, but it hurts me. I don't like it.
I would find a different type of juice, man. Maybe the juice ain't rigged for that vape.
See, Lindy understands. Lindy absolutely understands. It's like this. It's like this. There are more things in life that are truly important than having someone else decide if you're a good person or not. Big whoop-de-doo. I mean, ultimately, in person, I don't care what anybody thinks, man. Like, I got an IQ of 160 and I'm lost in my own universe. I don't care. I don't want to be assessed by other people. That's why I would end up fighting with a parallel version of myself. Damn, you know.
Sativa?
Oh, I tried making the sativa juice. I tried making it, and I found out that you can mess up making the juice.
Shh, you're not supposed to tell anybody that, man.
Oh, dude, everybody knows I'm pro cannabis.
But you're not supposed to say that. Shh.
Fine, then. I'm pro smoking pot.
Shh, they're gonna think you got a fetish for cookware. Oh, man.
So, tell me, Brother Tate. You could travel the multiverse. You see a parallel version of yourself, which is between you and this person you see.
Oh,
How is this?
You want me to do a thought experiment?
Sure.
Well, there's so many different ways my life could have branched off, bro.
Well, I mean, with causality and stuff, there's an infinite number of ways and an infinite number of choices.
Yeah, I'm not even counting the infinity of it all. I'm just counting the decisions in my lifetime.
Well, while you save my bacon because I'm trading in this vape for an actual cigarette, explain to us what the perfect parallel to yourself would be in your perfect life. What would the perfect Tate be? That Tate that you're going to kill and take his life. Who would that Tate be?
It would be pretty much like Elon Musk or a Bill Gates type character. Oh, yeah. No, I started out, I don't know if you guys knew this about me, but I started out 3D mapping. I started out, what was the name of it? It's where you can work on all electronics, telecommunications. I started out, man, I've started and stopped so many things, it's pitiful. And the reason that I didn't stop them wasn't because I just wanted to quit. it was because of funding issues. Because I'm in the backwoods of Kentucky, and you can't make much money moving dirt from one hill to the other. But yeah, that's. I mean, there's so many different branches I could have went out into. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I had to mute for a minute. Somebody came in the house. So, yeah, man, SP, he must be back there making some of that pot and pan juice for his
Oh no, no, no!
sink.
That up, man. I had to get out the grinder. Like, I mean,
Shh, you're not supposed to tell people. You're making pot and pan juice for your sink, man.
oh my gosh. I mean, it's not that I'm fearless about these things, dude. But come on, let's be real.
Oh,
Is it something? Is it something like? What are the statistics? Is it like 3 out of every 5 people on planet Earth smoke pot? I smoke the hell out of some pot. I'm gonna keep smoking it, and I'm probably never gonna stop.
well, statistically, if you want to get into actual things about the substance itself, or the plant,
But,
because it's not really a substance, it's an actual herb.
well, I mean, here's the deal.
Uh,
Here's the deal. Consider this, if you will, for a second, guys. And I think Tate will consider it too. I hate to be something that someone would call an advocate for, smoking pot, right? Consider this. Consider this. I was taken from my home as a small child because the state of Kentucky considered me gifted. They wanted to take me out of my home, right? So I could be put in a quote unquote optimal environment. I threw fits until I got to go home and live with my family. Um, the problem is that I need things to relax my mind. It's not that I'm gifted, it's that my brain fires erratically. I'm all over the place. It's a severe form of ADHD, right? I have found that smoking pot slows me down just enough to make sense of my thoughts. Smoking pot has made me 10 times more intelligent. It has helped me, and I am truly an advocate for it.
it is one hell of a medicine for anxiety.
I mean,
Uh,
it's not just anxiety. Consider your brain as a muscle, right? A muscle works better when you relax it.
That's the truth. Because if you get it too tense, you'll break it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I like deranged wolf. He's like Lindy, fake it till you make it.
I love it. I love it. This stuff is actually called Northern Lights. It's not bad. Just like with any though, if you smoke enough of it, it stops being as effective.
But yeah, I mean, look, when you get into something that you use medicinally like that, when it comes to herbs, herbs is better.
I
Marijuana,
mean,
I don't see classified as a drug. I see it classified as a herb.
and I agree with you right there. This is where I'm going with this. Like, I feel like if people can use things like alcohol, recreationally, that we should have recreational marijuana.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people have ever died from overdosing on marijuana?
Honestly, I don't
Um,
feel every drug should be used or should be allowed to be used recreationally like Amsterdam, but
I'm not a medicinal user. I use it because it's good. I use it because I like it. I
yeah,
use it because I want it.
recreation.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. I think every drug should be able to be used recreationally just like Amsterdam. But that's just me, man. I think humans should have the right to do whatever they want, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. That leads into a philosophical and ethical debate. Humans should not technically have the right to do. I'm going to stand by that one.
See, not everything they want.
No, not everything they want.
I mean, come on. Wouldn't it be nice if you could legally jump up onto your boss's desk, take a dump, and then slap the shit out of him and walk out?
Oh, I mean, I can see where you're coming from with this, but you have to consider if people were able to do everything they desired and wanted, you might as well throw law away. You might as well throw order out the window. Consider that in this world there truly are some bad people. I wouldn't want those
Oh,
people to
yeah.
be able to do anything they want.
Yeah, the major things like stealing, robbing, and killing, stuff like that, that shouldn't be tolerated. But I'm talking about just anything. If you want to go outside and smoke a joint in your front yard, you should be able to. You know.
Well, that's an interesting topic to bring up. Human rights in general is a great topic to bring up. Consider
We have those, but nobody lets nobody uses them.
consider this for a second, brother Tate. The year is 1722. Onto your property and they start making trouble, and you tell them, "Get off my property." If that person refused to leave or started hassling your family, to remove that person from your land any way you see fit.
Oh yeah.
Now, fast forward to 2017. A person breaks into your home, they trip over a rug and break their neck, and they sue you because it damaged and killed their career. And you have to pay this person. People don't have the rights they once had. I mean, times are completely different.
See, the thing is I'll probably drag that person outside and go to burying, bro. But
I
that's
mean,
just me, man.
I don't know. I don't know. Um, I would like to bring up speaking about time and time being relative and how time travel is in fact possible. Um, Brother Tate, will we ever reach a technological point when we can actually surpass the light speed barrier and actually travel in time that is greater than a couple of fractions of a second? Because right now we can use lasers, argon lasers, in a gas chamber, and the light will arrive moments before it was fired under certain conditions because time is relative, but only fractions of a second. Will we ever reach a technological point to where time travel is feasible?
Do you want to know if I think it's feasible?
Yes.
I think it's already been done, honestly.
Um.
But then
Well,
again, I'm wackadoo.
I don't think you're wackadoo, man. You have to consider if time travel is ever going to be possible, then surely travel back in time to a time that predates us or to the very time we're in now.
Well,
Um,
I'll go ahead and quote something I know that I'll actually have right this time. Um, you're a religious man, and I believe in God myself, but I don't believe in a set structure of beliefs, But any which way, in the Bible, it does say there's nothing new under the sun.
right. I'd like to go ahead and throw this out there. The very definition of Genesis does not mean brand new. The very definition of Genesis means to be made new again.
Right. So, do I think time travel is possible or feasible? Yeah, I do believe it's. I believe it's already been invented, bro.
I mean, you could be right. At any given time, these military scientists and these CERN scientists, they're a good 75 years ahead of what's commercially available as far as technology is concerned.
Try
The
about 300.
Maybe that's considering you really want to go out there far, far on that limb and say we've captured flying saucers. I'm not saying we haven't, right? But I'm not saying that I'm convinced that we have either.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question here.
Okay.
All right. Now, you've seen diagrams of flying saucers, right?
Well, yeah, but I've also seen diagrams of the inside of the Starship Enterprise. We know that to be fiction.
I'm pretty sure somebody out there could recreate it. But the diagrams of the actual UFOs, what's the oldest one you've seen?
Hmm. The oldest diagram I've seen of a spaceship would probably be several thousand years old. On cave walls, it was called a Vermana.
Well, there's that. And during World War II, there was also Die Glock.
Yeah, but we discussed Diaglock. I believe Diaglock was a craft for travel, but I believe the Diaglock was a craft intended for travel through time and not space. I think that it would have not traveled not even 1 foot or 1 inch in space itself.
Now, the Die Glock and all these other diagrams are relying on large sources of energy in small containers.
Right.
They normally call this an exotic matter chamber, right? Now, what exotic matter did we invent or did we start mass producing within the 1950s?
Amen.
There you go. So, anybody who doesn't believe in UFOs, you've got diagrams that say you need exotic material, then you've got exotic material that's miraculously being produced right around the time that the diagrams are out.
Okay. First of all, Brother Tate, we need to switch topic to the Philadelphia experiment. But I have a question for you, and this is from Lindsay. If you could travel forward or backward in time, where would you go? What would be your time period of choice?
Hmm. Strangely, it would not be backwards. Strangely, I would travel forward about 500 years.
I agree with you, and let me explain why. We have history to tell us the past, the future is a complete unknown. I want to see where we're going. I want to see where humans are in 10,000 years. Are we still around? Have we changed? Has transhumanism changed us into something not human? Do we finally have, you know, robots that are artificial life forms that, completely have emotion and interact with humans on a very human level? The universe. We have theories about how it began. I want to see how it ends. I want to see the end of all things. And not for some masochistic way, not for some. I just want to see if at the end of the universe, what really happens.
It's a curiosity thing. Same thing
Yeah.
for me. That's why I love Doctor Who.
The timey-wimey goo guy.
Yeah, think about it. One of the first things in the newest series, the 2005 series, one of the first things that they did is like, we can go anywhere. Where do you want to go? The end of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Or the end of Earth.
So what do you know of the Philadelphia experiment, Brother Tate? Are you versed?
That's the one with the battleship, right?
Yes.
That would be the one where the battleship disappeared, and when it arrived back at port, there was men fused into the bulkheads.
Yeah. From to add to that, from my understanding, at least what's officially on paper, Philadelphia experiment, the idea on paper, or at least what they were trying to convince people at the time, were they were trying to find a way to cloak a vessel. They were telling people they wanted to see if there was a way to hide a ship so it could sail right in or come right in without being noticed. But the actual ideology behind it was is they wanted to find a way. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because when it comes to the Philadelphia experiment, I've only skimmed the surface of what it is. The idea was is that they were trying to use high frequencies of electrical current to actually teleport the ship from one place to another. Is that correct?
They were running electrical current through the actual bulkheads of the ship, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's my understanding that the survivors were sick. Some of them developed mental illness, but many died that day.
Yeah, okay. It was it was supposed to be a travel or a camouflage thing that I remember. I'm not for sure which one. I think it was an active camouflage.
Well, see, the idea was is at the time it was on paper that they wanted to camouflage a ship, but the reports were top secret on the official documents, and I believe this was eventually WikiLeaked, trying to teleport the ship from one location to another.
So it may be both running together in my head.
Yeah.
Alright, now I'll bring you to a curious case. There's a TV show called Dark Secrets.
I'm familiar with it.
You know that you can't find it anywhere on the net for free to watch. No sites have it. Netflix dropped it. Hulu doesn't have it. It's
Have you checked
disappeared.
the bay?
I've even checked the bay. It's gone, man.
Hmm.
It's like it was wiped from the records of history, except for an IMDb review.
Now, I don't want to get too deep into the Mandela effect. People haven't shown much interest in what the Mandela effect is, and I don't want to push the Mandela effect. Is
No,
it possible, though, that because when you say dark secrets, every time you say dark secrets, I think of Tales from the Dark Side. Is it possible that that's some sort of Mandela effect thing?
no. It's an actual show that came on. I watched it, and it dealt with conspiracies involving the government.
Yeah.
I think they may have touched on one or two sensitive topics,
Hmm.
like literally. Um, there was only
Um,
about 6 to 7 episodes.
I've got people knocking at the door. I'll be right back. Tate, can you keep them going? I'll be right back.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, guys, the show Dark Secrets. Now, time travel, Philadelphia experiment, and all that. There was an episode where an Air Force agent he was enlisted to test out a new form of propulsion. Is what they told him on record. Now, this Air Force agent, his bones were found in the ground in a rock in I think it was like the 1930s or 40s by a farmer. But the curious case of it all was his bones actually carbon dated to before mankind was in America.
Okay, Tate's probably went mute because his phone rang. And I completely missed the topic he was talking about. Later on the video and find out about that. I would like to bring up if you guys, I'd like to know if any of you guys out there, Lindy, Deranged, Black Eyed Blonde, if you're still out there. No, that was Black Eyed Kid, wasn't it? If you're still out there, have you guys heard of a postulated time traveler named John Titor? Have you guys ever heard this name? Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm not going to get immediate answers because it's 3 minutes behind. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll recap. John Titor was this man that showed up on the internet in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. He claimed to be a time traveler from the future. The thing about John Titor, he made several accurate predictions about things that hadn't transpired yet. I really wish Tate was back. He was probably more familiar with the story of John Titor. The idea was is that this Titor guy came. It was just like any type of story. Oh, Deranged has heard of John Titor. Deal. The idea is that just like a prophecy, he came back to warn us about this catastrophic future that was yet to come. If I'm not mistaken, If I'm not mistaken, John Titor even accurately predicted the fall of the World Trade Centers, and he may have predicted Donald Trump's presidency. It was very interesting the way that he described the process of time travel. Um, Instead of gravity, instead of light speed, he used a form of light refraction. He would bend light around his vehicle in such ways that the light itself was like a sheath. And when he moved the car, he could just drive from one time to another, a very short distance. Um, I'm not saying the John Titor story is accurate, but his predictions were, which leads some credibility to his story. I wish Tate was around to discuss that. Uh, Another interesting point of topic is the man from Torrid. If you guys have ever heard the story of the man from Torrid. Oh, thanks, Black Eyed Kid. The Mandela effect is something that me and Tate studied for a good 6 months before we postulated a theory about it. I truly believe in the end that what the Mandela effect is that through CERN's interactions, from digging from our bubble to another bubble, that they have actually caused the other bubble that they were interacting with to collide into us. And instead of destroying our universe, much like two bubbles in an aquarium merging together, our reality and this other reality merged into a single reality, right? Just like two bubbles would. No one would even know. Now, you have to consider something about causality and timelines. When these two realities merge together, you don't have two different, historical accounts. We just have one. And this may be why we're experiencing this Mandela effect. Some people, because of random glitches or canceled out sectors on a hard drive, may be remembering memories from a reality own. That's my thoughts on the Mandela effect, and I'm glad you're back, Brother Tate. We have discussed John Titor. Do you know who he is?
Not for sure.
John Titor is the man in the early 2000s that used a car very much in a Back to the Future way. He said he came from the future.
Yeah.
Yes, or several alternate realities. Absolutely. Um, let's see here. Go ahead, Brother Tate. I'll be reading up on questions while you're discussing this topic.
Oh yeah. The episodes of Dark Secrets, man. You didn't hear that part?
Yeah, I heard the Dark Secret part. My assumption was is that that could be a Mandela effect issue. Why is it missing?
No.
Why is it so hard to find?
I meant the guy. What they did to the guy from the Air Force.
No, what did they do?
Okay, there was an episode where a guy, uh, the same guy from the 1960s, 1970s Air Force, was found in a rock in a farm in the 1930s or 40s. His bones was, but
Yeah.
they couldn't find a match for his bones because technically he hadn't even been born yet, you know, back then. So, how did this guy get into that rock, and why did his bones carbon date to before the Americas even had humans in them?
You know me, and I want to discuss real quick because I want to address this. John Titor could have absolutely been from an alternate universe. He could have experienced an alternate timeline, and the predictions that he made could have been from an alternate timeline that doesn't correlate with our own. That is absolutely possible, Lindy. Now, as far as this guy being, trapped in this rock and his bones carbon dating to be so old, I have to ask questions. You know, I'm inquisitive like that.
Oh yeah, I'll give you
Were the
the.
bones?
I'll,
Were the bones? Oh, go ahead, brother.
I'll give you the synopsis of what actually happened to the guy that they were supposed to have released, and that'll answer some of them, but the rest of them. Okay. Now the guy, he was an Air Force, an actual person within the Air Force that worked for the U.S. military, right? Dog tags and all. Now, this guy was enlisted into a program to test out an experimental propulsion program. They were looking for new forms of propulsion, and this one wasn't even supposed to use an airplane. It was supposed to use electromagnetism. Right?
I've always felt electromagnetism was the way to go. Consider the ionic propulsion engine. That's definitely the right path.
Well, if we have the ionic propulsion system, then we know that they've actually tried electromagnetism before.
From what I understand, didn't that, and when I say Indian, I'm not trying to be politically incorrect. That was her nationality. She was an Indian woman from over in India. Didn't she get the Nobel Peace Prize, for her theory?
Her theory about what? Fill me in, brother.
When she created the ionic propulsion engine. You haven't heard about this? You haven't seen this?
Oh, no. Yeah, I did see what you're talking about, but it slipped my memory.
Oh, right on.
But yeah, imagine this guy, 1960s, 1970s, test out the first electromagnetic engine, a propulsion system, and then for some reason he disappears from the base, and they find bones that are his that have been dug up in the 1930s, 1940s from a rock in a farm.
Now, were there genetic testing? They know they were his bones. I have all kinds of interesting questions about that.
Yeah, there was genetic testing, and there was skull. There was also the actual dog tags that were found. They were fashioned into a crude tool because they're soft metal.
I mean, I've seen a lot of interesting stories. You're probably familiar with the, what was it, several billion-year old rock that was dug up that had the head of an iron hammer in it.
Yeah, there's a rock that had a screw in it too.
Um,
So
let's quote this.
when we get into theories of time travel, I actually do believe that they have already invented them, whether it be by a misguided mistake or a happy coincidence, you know.
Are you still there, Broham?
Yeah, you there?
Okay. Yeah, I was looking up something real quick. Was it called the Antikythera mechanism? Are you familiar with this? Is that even the right word?
I'm not for sure what you just rattled off, Brohim.
The Antikythera mechanism, Broham. That's exactly what it was. It is a machine of incredible complexity that was discovered. Okay, it says the Antikythera mechanism is an ancient analog computer.
Oh,
It
okay.
says yes. Are you familiar with this? I can throw you up guys up a page, and since I'm right here at it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop that in the chat.
Mhm.
Um, there we go.
I mean,
The Antikythera mechanism. The intricacy of this device predates anything believed possible at the time. We don't know why it's so intricate and why it's so old, but it defies
holy
logic.
shit, I know what that is.
Yeah.
No, I know what that is, dude. Like, literally. Have you seen the
Okay.
bulkheads on a ship? Have you seen the doors? You
Mm-hmm.
know, the
Mm-hmm.
turn lock doors, like on a bunker or a ship?
Uh-huh.
Dude, that's exactly what it looks like.
But you have to understand how old this thing is. It as far as logic is concerned, it could not be, but it does exactly look like that, doesn't it?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Well, this is from 100 BC. BC.
100 BC. We're talking 100 years before Christ.
Yes.
So, um, who took a ship back to before Christ?
I don't know, man. If you really want to get into, was it Ezekiel? The wheels inside wheels? Um, I mean, we could go ahead and dig, right? We could go ahead and dig on my principles and philosophies about religion. I fully believe, in intelligent design, and I believe the Earth was visited long before humans were here. Um,
Mm.
my problem with the anti-Cathera mechanism, very very human made. It this to me it doesn't scream alien.
If you look at that clockwork mechanism, that is made for hands to grab a hold of. That's the more that I look at it, the closer I look at it, it actually has gears like a cog.
Yeah, you can see the gears in the second picture on the page.
So, did somebody take a grandfather clock back in time?
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking, Lindy. Ancient China, 100 BC, for those people to be using gearwork machines to navigate, I could see that. I'm thinking just like Lindy is. I'm thinking ancient Asia.
What's the name of it? It's for seafaring. It's got two little cogs on it. If I can think of it's for mapping. It's for mapping your longitude and your latitude.
It's for navigation, Broham. Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah, it's for navigation, but I can't think of the name of the actual tool.
Are you thinking of a sextant?
Yeah. Do you think this
Okay.
could have been like a prehistoric sextant?
No. I mean, when you call that a sextant, you're really their mechanism is, and you're dimming it down to like a basic tool. A sextant was just a thing to use on a map to calculate your route. This thing looks like it could have calculated the whole route regardless of map.
Hmm.
Like this was as far beyond a sextant as your phone is beyond a calculator watch, in my opinion.
Huh. That
I'll be right back. Still have company checking all of that out. I should just be a minute. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but we're gonna keep the show going, and we've still got plenty of things to talk about. I'll be right back.
yeah, guys and girls. How y'all doing today? I am taking over the SP channel slowly but surely. Uh, but yeah, man, this thing is Jeebus. You got screws, you got hammerheads, you got the antikythera mechanism. So, kind of leads me to think if we dig deep enough, we may find a civilization that was advanced as we are now, or maybe even more advanced.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry, guys. It's just been a busy day. So what happened to Tate? Is Tate still there? Did my net go down?
I went on mute because somebody decided to mow the yard.
Oh, right on, right on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry about that. I mean, these things tend to happen during live shows. That's why most of my shows are edited, but I'm going to leave this one up. Uh, we went to a lot of trouble to throw this one together today. We were on the anti-Cathera mechanism. Where were we moving toward, Brother Tate?
Oh, I was talking about, I believe if we dig far enough
Mm-hmm.
into the ground, we would eventually find the civilization that is just as technologically advanced as we are, if not greater.
Well, I kind of wanted to bring that up. The Bible has revealed to us a lot of things A lot of people don't want to talk about religion and the Bible on their channels. I have a different philosophy on that. I was born and raised a Christian, and if I can't talk about being a Christian, then I can't talk on YouTube because that's a big part of who I am. So I want to go with this. If you want to dig in the Bible about when the earth was formed, that God took two firmaments and he placed them together. If you look up the definition of a firmament is a dome like structure. When you take two dome like structures and you put two dome like structures together, you get a sphere. So really, as far back as biblical text is confirmed, biblical text was telling us the earth was round thousands of years before Columbus discovered that the earth was round. The Bible has revealed to us a great many things. And Tate, what was the other point you just made? And my nets went down, or Tate is. Did my net go down? Okay, I'm just going to keep talking because I don't know if my net went down. The Bible has taught us many things. It has predicted many things that science just confirmed in recent, as far as history is concerned, years. We didn't have confirmation that the Earth was round until was it Christopher Columbus? He sailed all the way around the globe. The Bible tells us that the Earth was round as far back as religious text goes. So um, there's a lot to be considered about. A lot of people tend to think, well, these were fishermen that wrote the Bible. These were, people that couldn't have had any understanding of real science. But you have to consider, as far back as the Sumerian texts go, as far back as modern humans go, there have been intelligent people. There were people with great intellectual genius.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of years ago. Welcome back, Brother Tate.
Sorry, phone rang. Roger came to the door. Dog went crazy. I mean, she's like a little hand grenade full of squeaks.
Oh, brother, it happens with the live shows. That's the thing about the live shows. You can't control the flow of the live shows. That's just part of it.
No, if we could control the flow of life, do you know how easy it would be?
Oh, if I could control the flow of life, I'm sure I would mess it up. Have you ever seen Rick and Morty? It would be something like that.
You would Cronenberg this universe. I know you.
Are you kidding? Who could stop me? Give me the chance.
You would Cronenberg the universe, dude.
Absolutely. There's no doubt.
Mm.
So we've discussed time travel, we've discussed interdimensional theory, we've discussed multiverse theory, we've discussed ancient technology. You know where I want to go next?
Ancient technology. There's only
I
two
wanna-
jump offs I know of: alien or.
You got it. I want to go extraterrestrials, the possibility of life outside of planet Earth. What do you guys think? I mean, for me, this is a large room. This says there's 5 people watching. So that's a large room for a live chat for SP. What are your guys' thoughts on extraterrestrial life? Are we singularly the only planet in the entire universe with life? Is there other life in the universe? And if there is it intelligent life? What are your thoughts, guys? What is your thoughts, Brother Tate?
Well, I'm going to go off on a tangent because I'm going to wait for the chat to catch up here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would think a person would have to be very narrow-minded and willfully ignorant to believe that Earth is so special it's the only place that can produce any form of living organism.
Yeah. I think about theories, and I'm not trying to cut you off, Brother Ted. I just want to throw this in there. People want to consider things like, where did humans come from? And they think about evolution. And inside everybody's mind, when you think of evolution, this skeleton of some sort of primate evolving into what is modern man. But I want you guys to consider something. When we think of evolution, do we ever think of what were the odds? What were the mathematical odds that at the exact same time that human evolved, there was a female there with which to procreate, that there was enough oxygen and food there to sustain them. I would really like for people to consider intelligent design for a moment, because sure, if you just want to go with Darwinian evolution, you can assume that, oh, well, it happened like that. But really, if evolution happened in the way that Charles Darwin explains it, what are the odds that everything was there not only to sustain life, but to procreate at the exact same time? Take it, Brother Tate.
Well, SP, here's the thing, man. Me and a fellow named Paul Silence were talking in the Bigfoot community. And I know a couple probably were present when we were talking.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome to mention Brother D's channel here. He's a friend of both of ours, and not only do I mention his channel, but I would promote his channel. He's a great guy.
It's not even a thing with DD's. You know he's our guy, but it was on another channel, so I'm not going to promote it.
I mean, you're welcome to do that too. I have no ill will toward anyone.
I don't have ill will. I'm just, I'm not that promotionist guy. But
right.
Me and Paul Silence were talking, and I learned a bit of knowledge that is absolutely indelibly true. You cannot separate this fact from humans. Okay? Now, you know how you've always said humans were completely different and light years away from any pre-known proto-human, which is ape-like species.
Okay, you're waiting for me to reply, and you know that I have a 5-paragraph reply for that.
Just give me a short and simple, man.
Short and simple. There's a lot of difference, and of course I do love animals, and we talked about the intelligence of animals, but as far as genetic and evolutionary terms go, yes, for some reason that science has no explanation for, humans are roughly 2 million years more genetically evolved than any animal on the planet, and there's no explanation for that, yes.
Okay. Now, did you know that if you were to ask a scientist that works in anthropology or in archaeology, mostly anthropology because that's the study of human and ancient civilizations, if you were to ask any of those guys during the Darwinian links when we became human, they would not be able to answer, right? They would say there's a missing link.
Oh, they would dawdle around, yeah, and they would focus on the missing link thing.
Yeah. Now, if you were to ask those guys one simple question that just pretty much gives humans no chronological date, and are you guys ready for this one, man? If you were to ask them if any bones of proto-humans are actually human instead of primate, because all the other bones in that scale is primate,
I'm ready for this.
they would say no. There is no other human bones. They are all primates leading to human.
Exactly. That was something that we discovered. Was this back in 2011 or 2012?
Mm-hmm.
When we found some. Go ahead, bro.
And you got Cro-Magnon. They're trying to pitch you off as that being the proto-human. No, that was an ape.
See, and here's the thing that I'd like to bring up to that. If you guys look back through history, and you look back through what we know on prehistoric Earth, we used to have a wide variety of life. For every plant, for every animal, for every human, there were several species, right? Okay. Now, as time goes on, because of adaptation, we're losing population on plants and animals. We, modern humans, are the ones that survived. But at one point, and I believe Tate may agree, modern humans like us coexisted with Cro-Magnon, with Neanderthal, but They're not us. We're not related to Cro-Magnon man. We're not related to the Neanderthal. We have genetically resequenced their DNA. And let me explain what resequencing means. We dig up the bones of a Cro-Magnon man. Of course, they don't have a viable genetic sample, right? It's all corrupted and corroded and destroyed. So we have to use supercomputers to resequence the DNA. The supercomputer looks at the information it has and it tries to accurately reconstruct to what this DNA may have been. One alarmingly startling discovery that we made when we resequenced the Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon man's DNA is they are absolutely not related to us. They are not a divergent from us. We did not come from them. They did not come from us. They were just another species of hominid unrelated to us modern humans.
Yep. Although I do believe that there was crossbreeding here and there that led to like
I
a
mean,
2%, but as
you have to
far as
consider that,
actual
yeah,
ones, no.
I mean, you have to consider crossbreeding would have had to have been possible. And the reason that I bring that up is on a biblical sense, you have to consider Cain's wife. My assumption is that me and my thinking, I'm SP. I'm the guy that I study science, but at the same time, I'm smoking a doobie and wearing a tinfoil hat. So make of that what you will, you know. But my thoughts are is that Cain wandered off and he married possibly a Neanderthal woman or a Cro-Magnon woman.
Well, that's a
Um,
very good possibility. I mean, it does kind of speak of humanoids living outside of, human domain.
Now, could crossbreeding happen? That's possible. And I want to throw this in for you guys for a second. We know that the Bible speaks in parables, right? We know in several instances the Bible spoke in parables. It gave us a story so we would understand the gist, but it danced around the issue of facts in certain places. Like when Jesus spoke in parables, like the faith of a grain of mustard seed, that was a parable. Here's the thing in my thoughts, and I don't want to touch on the Nephilim issue because I do believe in the Bible 100%, right? These are just theories. These are not me telling you that this is fact. I'm not that guy that's going to tell you that my opinion is fact because no, this is just a thought. This is a footnote. Um, I believe it's possible that what people consider to be Nephilims were crossbreds between humans and Neanderthal or humans and Cro-Magnon men. Um,
Hmm.
that's just a thought and a theory. We know that the Bible says that those were fallen angels that come down and mated with human women, and that made the Nephilim. Um, now I fully believe the Bible, but I just want you guys to consider something for just a second, if you will. We know that God wanted us human races to not just what's the best way to put this? I, I don't know how to put it because some things you just can't put into words and not sound offensive. And I'm not trying to sound offensive. We know that God wanted us to be genetically pure mix. And by that, I don't mean I don't mean things like interracial relationships. That's not what I'm touching on. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, God didn't want humans going out and dating animals. God
Hmm.
wanted humans to remain purely human,
Yeah.
you know? And I feel like if there were Neanderthals or there were Cro Magnon people, and people did go out and mate with those things, they wouldn't have liked that very much.
That's just like Dee has said. What was the first commandment that Moses told the people when he come off the mountain?
Oh
Don't
boy,
don't
I know all 10 commandments, but I don't know the order.
don't mix the animals. And so,
Wait, don't mix the animals. I don't think that was one of the 10 commandments, Broham.
well, not 10 Commandments, but one of the first things he said when he come off, he said, "Hey, God told me to tell you not to mix the animals."
Yeah. Give me just a second. I am sorry, guys, but I mean, it's hard to multitask. I've got company today, and I still want to do the live show because this company is ultra chill and they're not going to be a problem. But at the same time, I do have guests, and I'm trying to run back and forth. But we're going to keep this thing going as long as you guys are interested, because I've got nothing better to do, and you know, it's up to Tate really, and you guys. I'll be right back.
I'll be here. I'm just waiting for everything to settle down with the lawnmower and people running around and everything. Yeah, but I mean, biblically, there's some strange things going on. And back to the skeletons of the primates. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but the skeletons of the primates that we have and we're calling proto-humans, if you look at those skeletons, if you look at the way they're, I wouldn't exactly say photoshopped, but cropped around and worked on and done this and done that too, those skeletons look more like they could lead towards a Bigfoot species than an actual human. So, I mean, it's just one of the things that crossed my mind when I was looking into that. Yeah, Lindy, I see. Uh, Still waiting on SP. I hear him. Oh, he's coming.
Oh, oh, and are you still there, Brother Tate? And Sister Lindy, um, angels may translate to great men or giants, but that may be Nephilim translates to great men or giants. From my understanding, and I'm never absolutely certain about this, especially when it comes to Scripture. It was my thoughts that angel directly translated to messenger of God. I could be wrong.
Ooh. Yeah, I just filled him in on what I thought about the primate skeletons that people are calling proto-human.
Um,
I think they would lead more to a Bigfoot-like species than an actual human.
well, it would be almost blatantly disregarding of science for me to say that evolution is not a thing. We know for a fact that if you're a very healthy person and you have a child, and that child lives a very healthy life and has a child, and that grandchild has a very healthy life and has a child, that more than likely through adaptation, that you know several generations down the road, that child's going to be healthier than a great number of people. So we know that genetic adaptation is a thing. To a certain extent, evolution is a thing. But Charles Darwinian evolution, that states that we all came from some and branched out and became different things, I don't buy that. I believe from the very start, we humans were humans. You know,
Yeah, I believe the same thing. I believe humans have been humans since the beginning of time.
right? And maybe humans have changed a little or a lot. Because I can give you some examples of how humans have changed just from the times of Christ. From what I understand, from what I understand, Christ, it may have been because of nutrients or the way they lived, or just the system or the economy. But people were somewhat shorter, stockier, and stronger back then. We are now taller and more muscular than we were 2,000 years ago. And that's simply because of improved diet, things like agriculture, things like farming, um, medicines. We're healthier in some senses than they were back then. Oh, and Tate's had to go somewhere. So here I am at a complete loss for a topic. Um, let's discuss anything, guys. I'm open for debate. What do you guys want to talk about? Um, I'll have to keep talking about something until I come up with something to talk about. And Tate's ran off on me. We were on the subject of evolution and the Bible. Um, what are your guys' thoughts? Because I'm not opposed to speaking about the Nephilim. I want to know more about the Nephilim. I fully believe the Nephilim were a thing. I fully believe giants did exist. I'll take it as far as to say that I fully believe in the story of David and Goliath. I'm absolutely convinced. I'm one of those people. I don't just dance around the idea of the Bible. I place faith in it, and I do realize that some things in the Bible, you know, some things in the Bible were a parable. But I take God's word seriously. When something's written in red in the Bible, I take it as fact. You know, so I fully believe that the Nephilim were a thing. I fully believe that the reason that God flooded the earth was possibly to rid the human genome of the Nephilim, to eradicate the Nephilim because God saw them as abominations. Um, what are your guys' thoughts about this? Um, Evolution. Um, the thing about evolution, and I can go on about evolution a little bit. The thing about evolution is, yeah, I fully believe that evolution is a thing. Depending on how you live your life through the lineage, you know, that will show up later in your family line, and, you know, your descendants will be better adapted towards certain things because of actions and decisions that you made. But I don't believe that humans were ever anything but human beings. I don't believe we were ever monkeys or apes or any kind of different species. I believe from I believe from the very start we have been modern humans. And by modern humans, I would like to throw this at you guys. If you look back through history, if you look back through what we call recorded history, and this is the time when humans reached an understanding of literature. This is the time when humans began to be able to write down words and describe things and make record. If you go back as far as we can, it only goes back about 10,000 years. Recorded history. We can get cave paintings off walls and we can make certain guesstimations about how people lived, but modern humans, as far as we understand them, just appeared on Earth as if suddenly overnight 10,000 years ago. It leads me to ask questions. Welcome back, Brother Tate. I love that sound. That's when I know you're back.
Squeak, squeak. I
What,
really need to get
what,
some WD-40.
what are your thoughts on that, Brother Tate? I was just talking about how, as far as recorded history goes, modern humans with the modern intellect and the ability to logically solve problems as we do today just seemingly suddenly appeared on Earth some 10,000 years ago. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's many different theories. Won't y'all go
Hey,
ahead?
I just wanted to welcome 13 Sharks Can Fly. Welcome, brother.
I heard you get excited, and I was like, "Oh shit, what happened?"
He's one of my favorites, dude. I like all of them, but yeah.
Oh, Sharks is awesome. He's something else. Uh, yeah, man. But humans being here, not a coincidence. We didn't just spring up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, if we didn't just spring up, how else are we going to get here?
Well, you know my thoughts on it. You know my thoughts on it. I believe, and of course, now you guys got to realize something. Now, I'm not one of these people that, when my opinion is non scientific, sure, I study a lot of science, but when I have an opinion, I don't force my opinions on people.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, Barry's here too. Welcome, brother Barry. Oh, this is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's that
Um,
time. People are getting off work, bro.
awesome. My thoughts on it, brother Tate, are this, and I'm not forcing this as opinion, right?
Hmm.
My thoughts on it are is that the human genome has been genetically tampered with.
Oh, dude,
Um,
you know it has.
well, I mean, my opinion is that it has, and if I had to state my beliefs, I believe it has been, but I can't prove it. You know.
Mm, I can. I can unequivocally, without a doubt, prove that there is foreign, aka alien DNA, within the human body, and about 75% of that accounts to viruses.
I mean, I can see that.
Now, can a virus alter a human's genetics?
Absolutely, it's been proven.
There we go. So, we may have started out as an organism on this planet. No, I don't know which type. It may even be primate. But some intelligence somewhere found it upon itself to grace us with a little bit of extra juice than the rest.
Hmm. I've often wondered about things. Think that things like cancer and certain sicknesses are the genome breaking down or glitching, or do you believe something like viruses could possibly treat certain cancers and sicknesses?
Well, honestly, viruses can cause cancer. Basically, any type of trauma to the body which destroys a cell can cause cancer.
Well, consider this. This is a topic that's very close to home for me. I'm sure even several of the people here. It's something that even if you try to ignore it, a subject like cancer, it's touched all of our lives at one point or another. Um, so I ponder about things like this. Why could we not, guys, consider this? Why could we not genetically engineer a virus to only attack certain cells that have been tagged? We can use things like nuclear imaging and we can tag cancer cells to view them under MRIs. Modify a virus to attack only those cells that have been tagged. It doesn't make sense to me why this cannot be done. What's your thoughts on this, Brother Tate?
Why it can't be done?
Well, I mean, I'm saying maybe it could be done, but if you think that it could be, I don't know your thoughts on it yet. Um,
Honestly, I think it could be and already has been done, but it's more profitable to give a person cancer and then treat said cancer, and also more equitable to get extra resources when that person dies.
the big pharma conspiracy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do believe there has been cures for cancer. More than
Well,
one.
I mean, I've heard it said, and I think this is accurate. Right now, I'm flying by my coattails here. I've heard it said that they can take now, from when a baby is born, they can take your umbilic fluid. That's the fluid that's in your umbilical cord, and they can freeze that. And they can use that healthy umbilic fluid. If you get severely ill later in life, they can cure certain diseases for you. Have you guys heard this?
Yeah, because it contains T cells and quite a few different other immune system boosting properties.
Oh my gosh. Lindy's daughter is she's a biochem major. She's researching the same subject we were just talking about. Oh, that's awesome. If you ever want to bring her on and you guys, want to be on the show, I'd love to talk to you guys about this. That's one of my favorite subjects. I don't want to I don't want to bring it up and talk about downer subjects, but there's a member of my family right now. He's very sick, and I mean, so cancer is a subject that I think about a lot, and it just seems like something that we could, that we could treat better and cure better. And I worry about things like, is truly the reason that medical science allows people to pass away with cancer? Is it truly because we don't understand how to treat cancer, or is it because of some form of decided population control that somewhere somebody pulling strings has decided that, well, if this person gets that illness, you know, they I wonder sometimes, because it does seem to me like you could tag cancer cells and have an engineered virus to just attack those tagged cells. It makes all kinds of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't.
So, digging back to the healthier topics, I'm not here to bum people out and depress them.
Hmm.
Um, we're basically talking about genetics at this point and what can be done with genetics. What do you know about protein folding?
Well, there's all types of neat things you can do with protein folding and protein hooks on actual, you know.
Well, I mean, as far as protein hooks, are you thinking about the fork head hooks that are on certain chromosomes?
Oh no, most proteins have hooks to where certain things can combine together to create like acid chains or protein chains.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you can actually insert viral agents into the hooks or onto the hooks.
Well, since we're on the topic, and since we're on the subject, and since I want to lighten the mood and bring some hope to people, there is a gene that we have just discovered recently in science called the Fox gene. The Fox gene is also called the longevity gene. You have something in your bodies called telomeres. Now, telomeres are basically what tells your cells when to break down and how to break down and in what way they should break down. The Fox gene determines when your body starts producing more of these telomeres and your cells begin breaking down. So basically, you can see a man that's 45 years old. This 45-year-old man may look like he's just 32 years old. And then you can see another man that's 45 years old and he looks like he's 60. It's all down to how his cells are breaking down because of his Fox gene. There's a certain group of people on planet Earth, and they live on an island. And Tate, I can never remember the island these guys live on, but this island was isolated. Go ahead, brother Tate.
Oh, it was a Greek island. I can't remember the name right off the bat.
I've never been able to remember it neither. But these people, because of the island that they live on, they weren't subjected to many plagues. They weren't subjected to many viruses, and they didn't catch many outside contaminants for the span of their entire culture. They lived healthy lives. They ate coconuts. They fished from the oceans nearby. They drank clean drinking water, and they didn't have a lot of pollutants. Part about this is these people would normally live to be 126 years old. And this was normal for them. If a person died at 100 years old on this island, they got sick and something happened to them. The average lifespan for these people was 126.
They were
Scientists have been studying these. Oh, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
they were still having sex and children at 75 years of age.
Absolutely. Healthy children at 75 years of age. Scientists narrowed it down that the Fox gene in them. And the Fox gene determines when your body starts producing more of these telomeres. And of course, I already explained the telomeres. That's basically the chemical signature that tells your body it's time to start breaking down and die. Now, here's what's great about the Fox gene, guys. Oh my gosh, it's him. Oh, we got to have him on. Send him a link, bro.
Shoot him a link. Alright,
Yeah,
give
yeah.
me a second.
Okay, so we have these telomeres determine how long a person lives. The Fox gene ultimately determines how long a person lives. But the Fox gene itself, the Fox gene is a fork hook gene. A lot of people that may not mean much, but the fork hook gene genetically splice that gene because it has a hook in it. You can, change the information and attach it, to a body, right? You can genetically splice this gene within someone's genome. Basically, you guys have heard of genetically engineering people I'll give you some examples. I know you think this is unethical and it doesn't happen, but the fact of the matter is, there are genetically engineered people alive today. They call them test tube babies, was what they used to call them back in the 80s and 90s. Um, for a certain amount of money, you can go to Mexico if you're planning on having a child, and this genetically engineered child can be guaranteed to have a lifespan of up to 140 years old. Fox gene that science has engineered. Um, Science has come a long way, and a lot of people don't really realize some of the advancements we've made are still there, Brother Tate.
Yeah,
All right. I hope Brother D comes in.
I was just doing my ninja thing where I mute my mic and go off into la
Oh,
la
right
la
on,
la
right
la.
on, right on. But ultimately, what I'm getting at is this may sound like fantasy to some, but we basically have an engineered Fox gene that determines the human lifespan, that determines when your cells begin to break down in your body. Money, and I don't know how much that costs. You can leave the country and you can assure that your child will have a natural lifespan of 140 years old. Guaranteed fact. That's a really good idea, Sharks Can Fly. I haven't done a video about the Fox gene. Um, you know what? Look for that video. I'll probably start work scripting on that. Give me 2 to 3 days. I'll have a video on that. That's a done deal. Since people are interested and it does seem like an interesting subject, yeah, I'll do a video on the Fox gene. Genetic engineering and the Fox gene. It sounds like a great topic.
I got a link for people. It's to BBC News, designer babies.
There we go. I love it when you
That's
drop
also
it back.
smart. I was a designer, baby.
Welcome back. I can believe that, dude. I can totally believe that. You're not born with intellect like that naturally, D. You are a designer baby.
Oh, bull butter. Yeah, I was having fun listening, y'all. Talking smack in the chat. I don't
So
know. I don't know. I like the slideshow y'all have going though.
oh yeah, I mean that was Tate's idea right there. I was just gonna have us do a hangout, so he come up with this.
It's pretty cool.
I've been throwing pictures to it as we go. Sometimes you'll see like the double slit experiment, or you'll see right there's that machine we were talking about earlier.
Oh, the Antikythera mechanism.
Yep.
That's that picture right there of the dog or whatever that was found from that machine. It's like millions of years old or something like that. That's scary. Talk about suppressed technology.
I mean, consider this. Consider this though, Brother D. This is something people don't normally talk about, but we look at what we know today. That's just since the rise of our modern civilization. If the Earth truly is so many billions of years old as they claim it is to be, how many times do you assume civilization could have rose and fall in that given time?
Lots.
I'm willing to bet that there's some amazing things underground just waiting to be dug up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that the Smithsonian probably has tons of stuff that they're not releasing to the public that would, kind of get to that point. These pictures are great.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know how true it is because I've never personally been, but I've heard the Vatican has some very interesting things.
Well, yeah, them and their 10 miles of books that nobody's allowed to read underneath the Vatican.
Oh yeah, they're supposed to have books that were written by the actual guys that wrote the Bible, like the prophets themselves. Sure. We've covered just about every topic in the universe, but I mean, I'm just having a great time talking. I mean, is anybody interested in anything? What are your thoughts today, Brother D?
My thoughts aren't fully caught up to. I just woke up not too long ago, honestly. I
I've been
was
there.
like, this is awesome.
Oh, we,
It's
we
pretty
were
cool.
mostly
It's a, I love the topic itself.
we
I
were
mean,
mostly
there's so many different places you can go from, and every last one of them are extremely interesting.
we were mostly just bored, decided to talk and see what would happen. I'm glad you came on though. So
I am too.
um, we were talking the other day, and it seems like we were on a topic, and we were going to do a show. I honestly can't remember what the topic was, but we had hit on it the last time we talked in Hangouts. Um, I was, oh, unless I, I have forgotten completely.
Well, I have an
That's me.
announcement that I'll make right here on your show.
Right on.
I just got done talking to Miss Shannon LeGros from the show Into the Fray, and she's checking out our stuff on the Bigfoot Dogman Research Project channel. I'm going to be on her show next week.
Oh, awesome. Hey, how did the other show go? Have you already got links to the show that you did with the other guy?
No, with no Wes.
Hmm.
I slept through it, and he's sick, and I'm sick.
Right
Nah,
on. Right on.
that's terrible.
Oh, I was worried, man, because I mean, you know how it goes. Somebody catches the flu, and even several states over, the flu just travels in waves, man. I was worried you'd get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have that superhuman immune system, so
Right on. Right on.
hopefully it don't last that long. Yeah, hopefully you two will join us tonight for the late show. We're bringing back Yeti Spook, the guy that came down from Colorado to
Oh,
go
awesome.
on the expedition with us.
Cool.
Awesome. I'll be there watching. That's me. Let's see. 13 Sharks Fly. How you speak? Could you explain the affiliate? I think I have a really good idea. Okay. Well, sure. 13 Sharks Can Fly. I don't care to discuss the Nephilium just a little bit, real quick. My thoughts on the Nephilium, they don't go very, very deep. I just go with what the Bible kind of says at them. I believe that they were the offspring of angels, and here's the most romantic way I can put it. I believe that women, that we have something that maybe even the angels don't have. I mean, look at how beautiful women are. I believe that that's something that even the angels in heaven don't have. We have a special treasure that God gave us, and that's the beauty of woman. And I believe that the angels looked down and they saw that beauty, and it was so mysterious to them that they had to fall down and get closer to it. And I believe from that union, the Nephilium came about. Um, my thoughts are they are the offspring of angels and human women, and that God didn't like it when the Nephilium came into existence. So maybe that's the reason the flood came. That he was trying to eradicate the Nephilium. But other than that, I mean, I don't really have thoughts about the Nephilim. They were giants.
Right.
Uh, outside of that, I have no real thoughts on the Nephilium.
Well, I think the correlation that people are making between Nephilim and what we're experiencing in the woods, it's kind of a mix-up. People are making an amalgamation out of scriptures in the Bible.
Yeah.
The ones that fell to earth with Lucifer when he tried to usurp God or whatever nonsense he was trying to pull, they corrupted nature.
Yeah.
Before Moses came down the Sinai Peak, they were corrupt, and that's why he told Moses, to keep the oxen with the oxen, so on and so forth. Corrupting nature to mock God. They were corrupting the natural world like animals and whatnot. So I think that's people's where they get the mistake that the Nephilim are these things. They're two different things.
I see where you're coming from. So, in your opinion, it's possible that it wasn't just because women were so beautiful. They were also making a half-hearted stab at the Lord himself by trying to corrupt humans.
Not so much humans, just the natural world, like animals and stuff.
Yeah.
I know you've probably read it, but the Book of Enoch discusses a little bit better than I can how they making monsters out of natural wildlife.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, if you really want to get into things like, I mean, I don't want to say natural birth defects that cause divergences, but if you want to look at things like pollutants, we do have animals that are mutated that are, what you call it, walking or creeping the earth right now. But I mean, we're not talking like, as far as I know, I'm not talking like big, huge animals like Bigfoots and Dogmen. Or I don't feel that those things are mutants or you know, I feel like Bigfoot and Dogman are something mysterious. We don't have the answers yet. Um, we may
Right.
never, we may never have the answers. But when I speak of mutants, I'm talking like you'll have a fish that's born with maybe three eyes, like on The Simpsons, or you'll have a weasel that's born and it's got an extra leg, or something like that. You know,
Right. Absolutely. And I'm with you with that. Now I'm the kind that doesn't have to know or understand to pursue. That's why I keep going to the woods. I don't. That's why I say putting the cart before the horse. We don't have to know exactly what they are. I don't, at least. It's fun to
yeah.
postulate and everything. I don't think they're the Nephilim though.
I mean, I will stand firm by. I believe the Nephilim were a thing in the past, but when it comes to things like Dogman and Bigfoot, the area of cryptids, I'm a full believer that such things exist, but I haven't studied. I can't really comment on what they are. I fully believe they're there, but I'm still trying to learn myself on what they are.
Maybe we're looking in the wrong text. Maybe there's something from Greek mythology.
I mean, that's entirely possible.
Or the Fenris wolf. The Fenris wolf is sort of like how some people describe from the Norse mythology. It's how some people describe dogmen, certain breeds. But who knows? I'm just an old country boy who knows how to track and see and document and capture Bigfoot and dogman.
I, I do find the legends of. I'm not sure. Does anyone know? I mean, even out there in the audience, there were Native American legends of Bigfoot. What was the Native American word for Bigfoot? Was it Yeti or?
There's
Well,
different ones.
yeah, there's different ones for. I mean, there's I don't know how many tribes that were just here in the United States. They all have different pronunciations and different even words and meanings. Sure, what I believe to be relatively the same creature, or a divergence of it.
Yeah,
I added in some pictures of giant bones.
The Smithsonian's admitted, though, on several different occasions that they are going to these Ohio, not even just the Ohio burial mounds all around the United States, and digging up these bones and taking them to the Smithsonian Institute. I don't think they're putting them on display either.
Oh, they won't be. It's a federal funded agency, so you know how that goes. NDA and all that.
Those pesky NDAs.
I mean, I would consider that with the Smithsonian, it would perhaps be a pride issue. A museum will almost never display something that it doesn't have a lot of information to display with it. If it finds something it doesn't understand, it's more likely to keep it in the basement than put it out there under glass. But that'd just be my thoughts on it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's mine as well.
Kind of like the Vatican.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see what all is in the Vatican's underground records.
Oh my gosh, from my understanding, I mean, with us just being ordinary people, no amount of money could get us in there. There's no way.
You have to be a part of the collegiate world, and you have to have a reference. Like, say you're a professor of such and such. You'd have to have Tate, who's a professor of that same such and such, to write you a letter of recommendation. There'd be like a vetting period, and then you'd have to know exactly what you want to see. It's not like a library where you can go and look, and you'd have to know exactly what book you wanted, even
Right.
though we don't know what books are down there.
Yeah, 'cause I don't figure they'd let anybody wander around down there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. I almost believe that unless you're somebody of great importance, they're not even going to let you wander around down there alone.
Supposedly, the Pope's not even allowed to go down there and just browse through the books.
Well, I mean, consider this. I mean, I'm not picking on the Pope. I know he's a figure of great importance, but who the Pope is
Some people.
changes an awful lot. Well, yeah, to some people. Um, it would be my assumption that, like, especially with the Pope we have currently being kind of newer, yeah, they're not going to let him just wander around down there.
That needs a Jesuit. There's a lot of different things going on with this Pope.
I think the big hat is where he hides his toilet paper.
Oh my gosh. If the Pope has a sense of humor, one of these days he's going to remove his hat and he's going to have like a bottle of margarita mix under there or something.
Is that or there's a tap in the back that we can't see? Pre-mixed.
You know that's the first ever beer helmet right there.
Yeah, right. The Pope's hat.
When concession is going and they're all up in Gregorian chant, you hear in the background.
Ah,
Brother Brother Barry just mentioned something interesting. He said, I heard that you can't get near an aphelium, that it has so much cerebral power if you get close to it, otherwise it would rip you apart at the seams. Um, that is kind of interesting, and I'll go this far with it. I hadn't heard that,
I haven't.
but I will consider this. If the angels, according to my opinions on religious scripture, the angels are not really like us humans. They're like in more or less a step closer to God than we are. They're more divine than we. So the offspring of an angel would be more divine than an ordinary man. If you wanted to use Greek terminology, the son of an angel may be what would be considered a demigod in Greek mythology.
Right. You have to think also that these weren't. This isn't Michael and the archangel Michael. This isn't him and his lot. This is the ones that fell with Lucifer. So
Yeah.
these were already, stripped of their divinity. They still, I'm guessing, had some of it because they were able to, the sons of God who lay with the daughters of men. But what do I know?
Oh, actually, a lot. I value your opinion. I want to ask you this, brother D.
Uh-huh.
This is just my a question that I've had as far as demons go. Um, Now, I realize that when Satan fell, from my memory of the scriptures, was it like a third of the stars in heaven fell with him? So like a
Yes.
third, right? So my question is do the demons that allegedly interact with us, the demons that basically are against God, are those same angels that fell, or are there are there new demons? Do demons get born? Do demons get made, or is it just those?
That's a great question. I don't know. I know that Magog and there's a lot of different names and different generals under, and that's another thing that people make a mistake on. A devil, anybody can be a devil. When I have a bad day, I'm being ornery. I'm a devil.
Right, right.
That's just a catch-all term for someone who is bad. Lucifer became Satan when he, made his descent from heaven, when he fell from heaven, and the
Yeah.
angels that were beneath him are the ones that became his generals in hell. So I don't know. One day I really want to jump into because going to Christian school and knowing a little bit about theology, I think it'd be a good subject not to just kind of tiptoe around, but just to jump right in, like we
You
do
see,
off air sometimes.
oh yeah. I don't even know. I don't want to make people uncomfortable, but you have to
I do.
understand. Well, my thirst for knowledge. I want to know those things that I don't know. So I will tell you guys this, and even though it bothered me that I done it, to tell you guys that I done it may make me feel better. In my quest for knowledge to know more, I have read the Satanic Bible. It's not that I believed in it. I wanted to see what was written in it. It was curiosity. You know. Um. Here's the thing. When you open up the Satanic Bible, um, I don't even have it anymore. One of my friends that moved in from California, they're like, "Have you ever seen this?" Oh, I felt bad. Being raised a Christian, I felt bad even looking at it or holding it, but the curiosity got the best of me. You know how our Bible, the Bible of that's not satanic, it starts out and it tells the generations of the sons of David. Or was it the generations of the sons of Abraham? Like
Abraham.
we've got
Yeah.
yeah, this one got that one. When you open up the Satanic Bible, it automatically tells of Satan and his generals. And here's something interesting: some of the names that popped out, some of Satan's generals. And let's see if you guys have ever heard these names before: Leviathan, Ifrit, Bunkel. Have you guys heard of any of these names? before ever. They're actually quite common. They're actually quite common in today's media.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not me saying that the goddess Shiva from Hindu mythology is one of Satan's generals. No, no, no. That's where people get things cross-wired, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. But the name Shiva is mentioned in the Satanic Bible as one of Satan's generals.
Right.
Um, Afrit is mentioned as one of Satan's generals. I'd like to bring this full circle. There's a video game that's quite popular among some people called Final Fantasy. All of Satan's generals are summon spells in Final Fantasy.
Ifrit, Shiva,
Carbuncle, Leviathan, Ramu.
hmm and if I'm not mistaken, there was also some Norse mythology ones too, like Odin and Fenris.
If I'm not mistaken, Satan had something like there were for every who begot who, there was a general. The Satanic Bible begins with Satan and his generals.
Yeah, basically, I mean, Satan didn't beget any of these since they fell with him. But you're absolutely right. It goes and it shows basically what would be the lesser angels under him. 'Cause Lucifer was a high-ranking, he was a high-ranking angel. He was up there with Saint Michael, with
It
the
was almost
Archangel
my
Michael.
belief. It was almost my belief that at one point, before, I mean, it's really hard to explain, but it's just my feeling that at one point, Satan was very close to God. That he was.
He was. Satan
yeah.
was never close to God. Lucifer was close to God.
Yeah. I mean, I know there was
Became
the
a
name
different made his when he fell from heaven. He was the one of the most beautiful angels there were. He created music.
He was a muse.
So I mean, it's extremely fascinating, though, to say the least.
I'd like to bring this up. Isn't it funny how Lucifer was a muse? His job was to inspire others. And if you consider now what Satan's job is he inspires people to sin, or at least,
Manipulates them in a way.
Yeah.
Because Satan can't create. People say Satan can create this and that. Satan's not the only person that can create is the creator. Satan's a manipulator.
Yeah, I can fully go for that. I would like to bring up though, this isn't me in any way trying to, here's the thing. I couldn't say that I don't believe the Satanic Bible. It tells a different story, right? I don't support the Satanic Bible. But what I will say is that if you are the type of person that you're a younger Christian, don't go out and try to pick a fight with Satan just because you believe you will be safe.
Satan's more powerful than anyone on this planet.
Right. And he's not as powerful as God in my eyes, but he's definitely powerful enough to trick someone or deceive someone. And then what are you going to do?
Open up that Bible.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. Was it Moses, when Moses died before he made it to the land of milk and honey?
Oh, he went to hell.
Oh, I didn't know Moses went to hell. I thought.
Yeah, he was begging Lazarus. He was begging Lazarus for just to come down there to that pit of fire he was in with just a drop of water on his finger. He was begging for just a drop.
So you remember, like, the very moment that Moses died, Satan came to dispute with one of the angels over his body.
Yep.
Now this is one of God's high-ranking archangels. This is a guy, an archangel of God. This is a guy that, for all sake and intents and purposes, has the authority from God to use nearly the full extent of God's power to carry out God's will.
Yeah, Michael, Raphael. There's two more. They sit north, south, east, and west at God's throne. They're the badasses.
Gabriel.
Right.
They're the warriors.
Right.
Gabriel. Who we got? Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, and there's one more.
And this angel. Let's see. There was Raphael. Now that depends on how deep you want to dig. There was Metatron, but you have to realize Metatron was dogma. Metatron
I'm
was
talking the four archangels of God. Let's see.
There's Gabriel, there's Michael, there's Raphael, Oh my gosh, why does the name slip my mind?
I think you may be right. I think it is Metatron.
Metatron was a scrab of God.
Metatron was,
Yes, that's right.
to my knowledge, was the angel that had to deliver God's messages to human beings before there was Jesus.
A scrab.
You have the voice of
Yeah,
God, basically.
yeah. But
The fourth archangel, I'm not for sure on, but I do know Metatron was the scribe because I've always found interest that Metatron held the word of God in his hand, right?
now we
Right.
mentioned Gabriel, yes.
Yeah.
All except that fourth one. Michael
Yeah,
was sort of the Michael's sort of the hothead of the whole group. Like that God was always. I mean, he's on a short leash because Michael
yeah.
really
It
doesn't
was,
care about. You know what I mean? Like he wants. He's the destroyer basically.
yeah. It was my
He's the one that brought the fire from the heavens.
Yeah, it was my theory that Michael's position was to carry out God's wrath.
Exactly.
Was it Michael that turned that whole town into a pillar of salt, Sodom and Gomorrah?
No, he burned down Sodom and Gomorrah, and when Sarah, uh, what's his name's wife, turned around when the angels told her not to look back, he turned her into a pillar of salt because
Yeah.
she didn't listen to God's word.
So you talking
Well,
about a guy that can nuke 2 cities full of people easy?
Yeah, exactly, like dribbling a basketball.
okay, 13 sharks can fly. Metatron is a subject of high debate. Um, first of all, the few mentions of Metatron are only in Catholic dogma, as far as I know. Is that right, D?
Yeah, but see, that's where you get into the divinations and all that, and like
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean, like the Catholic Church as opposed to Methodist Baptist. Even though it's all Christianity, we all focus on different things. I was a student of the Bible itself. This is a
Oh,
long
yeah.
time ago though. That's why I can't remember. Here we go. The Book of Enoch mentions Metatron. He's called the highest of the angels. I think that is because he is the voice of God. For us to hear the voice of God itself, like that's why he always went through something. The burning bush. Like
Right,
us as flesh and blood beings wouldn't be able to handle it.
right. Because the theory was is that God, being so infinitely powerful, that the voice coming straight from the Lord God Himself, it would just absolutely obliterate us.
Guys, we were right. It was just Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael. There were three.
Right on, right on. Because from what I understand, Metatron, I'm not saying Metatron didn't exist, but his only mentions that I'm aware of was in Catholic dogma.
See, like the Book of Enoch goes a little bit further. Ragael, Seraquel,
Yes.
Remiel, Ezekiel,
Azrael, I believe, was one, or was it Azazel?
Azrael. Yeah, Azazel is one of the generals of hell.
Oh, okay, okay,
I think Azrael may be too.
okay.
Razriel, Tafsakel, Tuscadil, Camiel, Raphael, Hanel, Michael, Gabriel, Sandalphon, Uriel, Seraquil, Raguel, Remiel, quite a few of them.
Yeah, Azrael is mentioned in the Quran and the Judeo-Christian texts.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Judaism.
he's the angel of death. So yeah, he wouldn't work. I mean, I guess he wouldn't be working for. He wouldn't be working for Lucifer. He'd be working for the big man upstairs, old Azrael.
I'll be right back in just a second, guys. Please cover for me. I shouldn't be more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh,
All
Yeah,
right.
but I guess he would be the fourth one according to the Judeo-Christian Bible and the Quran. Azrael.
Azrael, I believe, is a rework around of Raziel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other
Gabriel.
times known as Josephel.
Gabriel is said to be the archangel responsible for transmitting God's revelation to all prophets, including revealing the Quran to be Muhammad. And God, I can't talk. Revealing the Quran to Muhammad and inducing him to recite it. Various traditions mention his role in delivering messages from the God Almighty to the prophets. Michael is often depicted as the archangel of mercy, who was responsible for bringing rain and thunder to the earth. Raphael, mentioned in the Quran as the angel of the trumpet, is responsible for signaling the coming of the judgment day. The tradition named this angel as Israfil, after Judeo-Christian angel Raphael. And Azrael is the angel of death. Reminds me of that Slayer song.
Megatron. Oh, I was reading chat over here about Megatron, Metatron.
Megatron?
Yeah.
Somebody said Megatron's the angel of the angel of what?
More than meets the eyes. Oh man.
That's great.
But yeah, the reason that I had such fascination with Metatron is because, dude, there's nothing supposed to be more powerful than the Word of God, right?
Right.
And this angel actually held the Word of God in his hand and delivered it.
That's right.
So he was like the nukes specialist of angels.
Basically, yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Consider this for just a moment, guys, and I really need D here because I may be misquoting scripture. Wasn't there a type of angel called a cherub? And for reasons that I don't understand, for reasons that I don't know, there were two cherubs. They stood at the left and right side of God's throne. And these angels lacked free will. They didn't have their own free will, but they did contain the full power of God. I don't know what their purpose was, but yeah, they were called cherubs. You can actually look that up. I believe it's accurate.
One was placed to guard the Garden of Eden with a flaming sword, and the other was Lucifer.
Yep, that's a cherub.
Yeah, but the thing about cherubs is cherubs are different. They don't have.
Yeah, they were strictly warriors, and they didn't have free will. But Tate's right. Like they sent a cherub to guard after Adam and Eve ate the forbidden, or they ate from the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. God he sealed off that entire garden, and he sent a cherub there with a flaming sword.
And the other one was Lucifer.
Yep.
And yes, Brother Barry, I do believe an angel could take on the form of a human woman. And there's a reason that I would like to say this, but I can't really go into great detail. Let's just say that I've studied the scriptures my entire life, and I spent a long time praying for any kind of sign that, to place my faith in. I believe that if you saw an actual angel, like a legitimate actual angel that didn't take human form, there would be an incredible size difference. I don't believe angels are human sized.
No, not at all. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
We're almost minuscule little things compared to the size of what an actual angel would be.
Which kind of makes you wonder, because you hear about these our International Space Station, how they said that people would see these glowing giant figures, and it's not like it's a common occurrence basically, and they were calling them angels. But gentlemen, I'm gonna jump off here, get prepared for the show tonight. It's a pleasure as always. This is pretty fun. It's nice to come on someone else's show and not have to row the boat, so to speak. Just have to have a nice conversation.
You're welcome anytime, brother. We were glad to have you. I wish you could stay longer.
Y'all invited me. It was an honor.
Thank you for stopping by.
Of course, you two are more than well, you're part of the family, so you're going to be on the show tonight with me, hopefully.
Well, I'll be around. I'll be around for whenever.
Absolutely. We're going to try to get it started. I think 9:30, 10 o'clock.
All right.
It's cool getting to talk to everybody. Sharks can fly. I seen Lindy in there earlier. See y'all tonight.
All right, bro. I'll be there.
Bro.
Outstanding. See you, brother.
Well, that was awesome. I wish Dee would have stuck around just a little longer.
Oh man, busy fella.
Oh yeah. I can't do half of what Dee does. He somehow manages, man, and I mean he keeps on trucking.
Yeah.
He works hard.
I'd have to say he's a beast. If he's not out in the woods taking pictures and videos, then he's at home editing and doing things. And
Well, brother Tate, at this point, this has been one of the most amazing live streams I think I've ever done on my channel. I can't think of anything to add to it, anything else to say. I mean, unless you've got another topic, bro, I say we end it here, and it's just all pluses, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all up to you. We can get into anything you want.
We can, but D has got his show going on, and if there's anything you want to do on your channel,
I'm good on mine. I'm working on the. Okay. Is it okay if I go ahead and tell the people's here?
dude, me and you are like YouTube brothers. It's okay if you do anything on my channel.
Nah, not anything. You may see me do some bad things to the milkman in the background if you do that.
No, go ahead. I dare you. That milkman's got it coming.
You just don't know. I got my Miley Cyrus wig and I'm waiting on him. I'm just waiting. By the way, he's going to be the one wearing it. All right. But yeah. Yeah, I'm doing a trilogy of high strangeness. Now, the first part's on my channel. I'm not for sure which one wants which. I think the Mandela I'll give to SP here. And the CERN and cryptids is going to go to D, but I'm going to put it all together in a complete different video of how it all fits together. So it's going to be a trilogy with an explanation, basically.
Awesome.
Which will be given to BDRP as a video. So what I'm doing is I'm not doing it for monetization. I'm using actual music that's decent in the videos. I'm using clips of this and that. I'm doing some voice work and narration in the videos. The next one will be more narration than actual video clips, and well, there'll still be background music, but yeah, it's going amongst the three of us, and I hope you guys enjoy the theory.
I've already saw the first video. As a matter of fact, brother Tate, if you don't care to, please drop a link for that video in chat. I'll stay on long enough. We'll stay on long enough to get that link out there because I think people would really like it.
The first video is about the Akashic field, so I'm not for sure if many people will like it or not.
But it's part of the trilogy. They may be interested to dabble there just to see where it goes. I mean, you're not going to get it out there without putting it out there, brother.
I'll go ahead and drop it, but it's got like 17 views, so I figure most of the people here have seen it. There you go, guys. That's the first in a trilogy. They're going to appear here and there and amongst all of us. That one has less voice narration than the other two will get because I was kind of in a hurry and made it in about 3 hours. You know.
So, Broham, we can keep going if you've got anything you want to add because, I mean, where I'm at right now, it's been a great live stream. And I'm ready to call it before I somehow mess it up. If you've got anything you want to add, now's the time.
Man, that's all I can or should add. That was way too much.
All right. Guys, as far as y'all guys go, I'm different than a lot of people. I wear my heart on my sleeve. You guys showed up. You guys came. You cared about our thoughts. You cared about what we had to say. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And we'll probably throw up another live stream sometime really soon. Thank you guys so much. All right, guys. I guess we're going to call it. I just want you to know I really appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Okay. Are you cut it now?
Oh yeah, it's good. It's